Not "let's talk." Just that freaking note, like she was leaving instructions for the dog sitter. I sat there for about an hour just staring at those papers. The house thing really got me. It's not some mansion, it's a modest 3 bedrooms I saved for years to buy when I was 28. It needed work when I got it, and I spent weekends fixing it up myself. It's the only thing I've ever really owned outright. The thought of losing it made me physically sick. But that note, the arrogance in it. Like I was just supposed to roll over because she assumed I couldn't afford a lawyer. I made a phone call I never thought I'd make. My brother Cole is a divorce attorney, pretty successful one actually, but we hadn't spoken in 5 years. Our parents died when I was in my early 20s, left us the family home. Cole wanted to sell it immediately, I wanted to keep it. Things got ugly. We said things that brothers shouldn't say to each other. Eventually he got his way, we split the money, and we just stopped talking. I stared at his number in my phone for 20 minutes before I called. When he picked up, there was this long silence after I said, "Hey, it's me." Then, "What happened?" I told him everything. The papers, the demands, the note, more silence. "Send me everything. And Adam, don't sign anything, don't even respond to her attorney yet." "Cole, I can't afford." "Did I ask you about money? Send me the papers." That was it. He hung up. Edit: "Holy shit, this blew up while I was at work. I'll post an update soon. Thank you all for the support. And yes, my brother is a badass. You have no idea yet." Edit 2: "A lot of people are asking why I didn't know about the prenup house protection. Honestly, I was young when we got married, in love and stupid. She pushed for a quick wedding and I just trusted her." Lesson learned. Update 1: You guys were right about Cole being a shark. I didn't realize just how much until this week. 2 days after I sent him the papers, Cole called me. "I'm taking your case, pro bono. We need to meet tomorrow morning." I tried to argue about the pro bono thing, but he shut me down. "You're my brother. We should have never let things get this bad between us. Let me do this." We met at his office. I'd never actually seen his practice. It's downtown, really nice setup. He had a junior associate with him named Lisa, and they'd already gone through Vanessa's filing with a fine-tooth comb. "She's overconfident," Cole said. "She thinks because she understands finance, she understands family law. She doesn't." Here's what happened next. Cole filed a response that basically said absolutely not to everything. But he didn't stop there. He filed a counterpetition demanding forensic accounting of all marital assets, requesting full financial discovery going back 5 years, asking that Vanessa pay my legal fees, and citing the house as separate property with full documentation. The preliminary hearing was last week. I was nervous as hell, but Cole was completely calm. Vanessa showed up with her attorney, this guy named Richard Chen, who apparently charges $500 an hour. She saw Cole sitting at our table and her face just fell. She clearly didn't know he was representing me. Her attorney seemed annoyed but not worried. That changed fast. Cole absolutely dismantled their arguments. Every point they brought up, he had documentation for. When they claimed the house was marital property because we improved it together, Cole had receipts showing I paid for all renovations with my separate accounts. When they argued Vanessa needed support because she'd sacrificed her career for the marriage, Cole had her HR records showing she'd gotten 3 promotions and a 40% salary increase during our marriage. The judge ordered full discovery and set deadlines for both sides to produce financial documents. Then, and this is where it got really good, the judge agreed with Cole's motion that given the concerning discrepancies in the petitioner's claims, Vanessa's side should cover costs associated with the forensic accounting. Vanessa looked like she wanted to disappear. Her lawyer tried to object, but the judge wasn't having it. After the hearing, Cole and I went to get coffee. First time we'd really talked in years beyond the case. "Why are you doing this?" I asked. "Why now?" He was quiet for a minute. "Because when Mom and Dad died, I was an idiot. I pushed you away over money and a house, and I've regretted it every single day. You're my little brother, I should have been there for you." He paused. "And because from what I can see in these filings, your wife is hiding something, and I'm going to find out what." The forensic accountant started work 3 days ago. Cole's team is going through 5 years of credit card statements, bank records, Venmo transactions, everything. They've also scheduled depositions with several people, including Vanessa's best friend Rachel and some of her coworkers. Vanessa has been calling me nonstop. I'm not answering. She's left probably 15 voicemails ranging from angry to crying to threatening. Cole told me to save them all but not engage. Her latest message: "You're making a huge mistake. Cole doesn't care about you, he just wants to win. This is going to cost you everything." But here's the thing, I've already lost everything that mattered in our marriage. The moment she left those papers on the counter, it was over. Now I'm just trying to keep what's actually mine. The discovery phase is going to take about 6 weeks. Cole says that's when things will get really interesting. He's got this look when he talks about the case now, like a chess player who can see the end game coming. I asked him what he thinks he's going to find. If I'm right, everything we need to make sure she never tries something like this again. I'll update when the depositions happen. This community has been incredible. Thank you all. Edit. People keep asking about the voicemails. Cole's saving them as evidence. Some of them are her trying to guilt me. Some are her lawyer telling her not to call me, which she ignored, and a couple are threatening enough that Cole's considering a restraining order if it continues. Edit 2. Someone asked if I'm doing okay emotionally. Honestly, I'm angry. I spent 10 years thinking we were building a life together, and she was planning her exit strategy like I'm some kind of business deal gone bad. But having Cole back in my life has helped more than I expected. Update 2, I need to start by saying that the last 2 weeks have been absolutely insane. The forensic accountant finished his report, and Cole's team completed all the depositions. What they found? Jesus Christ. The depositions started with some of Vanessa's coworkers and friends. Pretty standard stuff confirming timeline of events, her behavior over the past couple years. But then came Rachel. Rachel was Vanessa's best friend. They'd known each other since college. I always liked Rachel. She seemed genuine, down to earth. Vanessa had been staying with her since filing for divorce. Cole told me Rachel's deposition was scheduled but warned me not to get my hopes up. Best friends usually close ranks, he said. He was wrong. Apparently Rachel had reached out to Cole's office the week before, saying she needed to talk. She came to the deposition with her own lawyer, which Cole said was unusual but not unheard of. Rachel's testimony destroyed everything, and I mean everything. She confirmed that Vanessa had been having an affair for the past 18 months. The guy's name is Darren Quinn. He's a financial advisor, 35, works at the same company where Vanessa does consulting work. Rachel said Vanessa had been planning her exit for over a year, waiting for the right time to file. But here's where it gets worse. Rachel brought receipts, actual receipts. She had screenshots of text messages where Vanessa talked about getting the house and a big settlement, so she and Darren could start fresh with a cushion. She had photos that Vanessa had sent her from trips that were supposedly work conferences, except Darren was in the backgrounds of several photos, and the locations matched charges on our joint credit card. When Cole asked why she was coming forward, Rachel started crying. She said, "Because Vanessa lied to me too. She told me Adam was controlling, that he isolated her from friends, that she was scared. None of it was true. I watched her use marital money to fund a relationship with another man while playing victim. I can't be part of that." The forensic accountant's report backed all of this up. Over $60,000 in charges over 18 months that all traced back to the affair. Luxury hotel stays, expensive dinners, gifts, plane tickets for two, all from our joint accounts and credit cards. She'd been so careful in some ways, small charges here and there, nothing that would immediately raise flags. But when you added it all up, it was damning. After Rachel's testimony, Cole immediately moved to compel Darren's deposition. The judge granted it the same day. Darren tried to play dumb at first, but Cole had the receipts, literally. Venmo payments from Vanessa labeled as loan repayment or splitting dinner that coincided with romantic getaways. Hotel bookings in his name that matched our credit card charges. Finally, Darren admitted it, said they'd been together for about a year and a half. When Cole asked if they discussed Vanessa's divorce plans, Darren said, She told me she'd get the house and a decent support arrangement. Said we just have to wait a bit for things to settle, then we could move forward. Cole pressed him. Did she tell you the house was purchased by her husband before their marriage? No, she said it was theirs together. The guy had no idea he was part of a scheme. Vanessa had lied to everyone. Cole filed a motion to dismiss Vanessa's petition with prejudice and submitted a counterclaim for dissipation of marital assets. In plain English, he's arguing that Vanessa wasted marital money on her affair and should have to pay it back. We had a settlement conference 2 days ago. It was the first time I'd seen Vanessa in person since this started. She looked terrible, exhausted, angry, scared. Her lawyer looked worse. Cole laid out everything. The affair, the financial evidence, the depositions, all of it. He presented it like he was teaching a class, completely unemotional. Your client committed marital waste. She used joint funds to support an extramarital relationship while planning to defraud my client in the divorce proceedings. The evidence is overwhelming. Vanessa's lawyer tried to argue that the affair was irrelevant, but Cole shut it down. In this state, dissipation of marital assets absolutely matters. Your client spent $60,000 of joint money on another man. That comes out of her share, and then some. Then Cole slid a settlement proposal across the table. I keep the house as separate property, which it always was. We split the remaining marital assets 50-50 after deducting the $60,000 dissipation. No spousal support for either party. Each side covers their own legal fees, and Vanessa signs a statement acknowledging the asset dissipation. If you don't accept this, Cole said calmly, we go to trial, and I will make sure every detail of this affair and financial fraud becomes part of the public record. Vanessa tried to argue, but her lawyer cut her off. They asked for a recess. When they came back 15 minutes later, Vanessa wouldn't look at me. My client accepts the terms. That was it. 10 years of marriage over. I should feel something more, but mostly I just feel tired. The final hearing is next month to make everything official. Cole says it's basically a formality at this point. Vanessa moved out of Rachel's place. I heard through mutual friends she's living with her sister now, a few states away. Darren apparently blocked her number and wants nothing to do with her. Can't say I blame him, he was a pawn too. Last night Cole came over to the house. We ordered pizza and sat in the living room, the same living room where I'd read those divorce papers 3 months ago. Thank you, I said, for everything. Don't, he said. I owed you this. I owed you a lot more than this. We talked for hours. About Mom and Dad, about the 5 years we wasted not speaking, about everything. He apologized for how he handled the estate. I apologized for being stubborn. It felt like something in my chest finally loosened. So what now? He asked. I honestly don't know, keep working I guess, figure out how to be single at 40. Well, he said, you've got a house, that's more than most people starting over. He's right. I have my house, I have my career, and I have my brother back, that's enough to build on. Edit, a lot of people asking about whether this is criminal fraud. Cole says it's unlikely to be prosecuted criminally, but the civil consequences are significant. The $60,000 comes out of what would have been her share of marital assets, meaning she walks away with very little. Final update, the final hearing happened yesterday. I'm officially divorced. I thought I'd feel something more dramatic when the judge signed off on everything, relief or anger or sadness. Instead, I just felt calm. Maybe that's what closure actually feels like. Vanessa was there with her lawyer. She looked different, thinner, older somehow. We didn't speak. Her lawyer submitted the signed agreement, Cole confirmed everything was in order, and the judge asked if either party had any final statements. Vanessa's lawyer said no. Cole looked at me and I shook my head. What was there left to say? The judge reviewed the settlement terms one final time. Mr. Lawson retains sole ownership of the property purchased prior to marriage. Marital assets to be divided 50-50 after accounting for dissipation. No spousal support, each party responsible for their own legal fees. She looked up at Vanessa. Mrs. Lawson, do you understand and agree to these terms? Yes, Your Honor. Her voice was barely audible. Mr. Lawson, yes, Your Honor. Then this court finds the marriage of Adam and Vanessa Lawson to be dissolved. You're both free to go. 20 seconds, that's how long it took to legally end a decade of my life. Walking out of the courthouse, Cole put his hand on my shoulder. How you doing? Honestly, better than I expected. We went to lunch at this diner near his office. Over burgers and coffee, we talked about next steps. The house needs some updates. The kitchen is original from the 90s. The bathrooms could use work. I mentioned I'd been thinking about doing the renovations myself, taking my time with it. I could help, Cole said. Weekends, if you want. I looked at him. My brother, who I'd written off 5 years ago, who came back when I needed him most. Yeah, I said, I'd like that. So that's where things stand now. Vanessa got about $15,000 after the dissipation was calculated and all the accounts were divided. She signed over any claim to the house, not that she had one anyway, but it's officially documented now. I heard from a mutual friend that she's staying with her sister indefinitely, working remotely. I don't wish her harm. I don't wish her anything really. She made her choices and they cost her. That's between her and her conscience. The house is quiet now, but it's a different kind of quiet than before. It's mine again in a way it hasn't been in years. I've started planning the renovations, nothing crazy, just updating things, making it feel fresh. Cole comes over most Saturdays. We work on projects, order takeout, watch games. Sometimes we talk about mom and dad. Sometimes we just work in comfortable silence. Last weekend we were tearing out the old kitchen backsplash when Cole said, "You know, we should think about going into business together. You do the structural and design work, I handle the contracts and legal side. Buy old houses, fix them up, flip them." I stopped mid-swing with the hammer. You serious? Why not? You're good at this stuff. I'm tired of divorce cases. Could be good. We're actually looking into it. Might be crazy, might be brilliant. But for the first time in months, I'm excited about something. Rachel reached out last week. She apologized for not seeing what was happening sooner, for not speaking up earlier. I told her she had nothing to apologize for. She did the right thing when it mattered. We got coffee. It was good to talk to someone who knew both of us and could understand how complicated it all was. Work has been good. My boss knows what I went through and the team has been supportive. I threw myself into a big project during the worst of the discovery phase and it helped having something to focus on. I'm not dating, not even thinking about it. I need time to figure out who I am as just me, not as someone's husband. Maybe in a year or 2, or 5. I'm in no rush. Someone in the comments on my first post said, "Sometimes you lose a partner but gain yourself back." That stuck with me. I didn't realize how much I'd lost myself trying to make a broken marriage work, how much I'd accepted that shouldn't have been acceptable, how much I'd stayed quiet to keep the peace. The house is still standing. I'm still standing. My brother is back in my life. Yeah, I lost my marriage. But I got back something I thought was gone forever, my family and my sense of self. That's not a bad trade. To everyone who commented, sent messages, shared their own stories, thank you. This community helped me more than you know, especially in those early days when I was sitting in my living room staring at divorce papers and wondering if I was crazy for fighting back. You guys told me to stand up for myself. I did. And it made all the difference. Edit, final edit, I promise. People keep asking about Darren. I don't know what happened to him beyond what I mentioned. He cut ties with Vanessa, which honestly was probably the smartest thing he could have done. He got played too. I don't have any animosity toward him. He was lied to just like I was, just differently. Edit 2. And yeah, Cole is the MVP of this whole thing. I owe him everything. We've already started talking about Thanksgiving, first one we'll spend together in 6 years. We're going to completely screw up cooking a turkey, but we'll figure it out together. Life goes on, that's the lesson here. It goes on, and sometimes it goes on better than before. Thanks for coming on this journey with me, Reddit. Time to close this chapter and start the next one. Story 2. My wife announced she's pregnant with my brother's baby. I showed her why that's impossible. I'm a data engineer married to Marissa for 6 years. We live in a coastal town in Oregon. I'm writing this because I genuinely don't know how to process what just happened. Our marriage has been rough lately. We haven't been intimate in over 8 months. We fight about money constantly. She thinks I'm too controlling with our budget. I think she spends impulsively. She's been spending 3 or 4 nights a week at her sister Harper's place, says she needs space. I've been planning to suggest marriage counseling. Last night everything imploded. Marissa came home around 9 p.m. I was at my desk finishing work reports. She stood in my office doorway with this strange energy, not quite scared, not quite defiant. "I need to tell you something," she said. I saved my document and turned around. "Okay." "I'm pregnant." I just stared at her. "We haven't had sex since February. It's currently late October. I did the mental math twice. "It's Connor's," she said quickly. "It's your brother's baby." My brother Connor is 29, a general contractor. Good guy. We're close, or at least I thought we were. But here's what Marissa apparently forgot. Connor got a vasectomy 5 years ago. I know because I drove him home from the procedure and bought him ice packs and action movies for recovery. I didn't say any of that, though. Instead, I just said, "Congratulations." She blinked. "That's it. That's all you have to say." I reached into my desk drawer and pulled out a folder I'd been keeping for 3 weeks. About a month ago, I found a text on her phone when she asked me to check something. The message preview was from Connor. "Stop contacting me. I've been clear about boundaries." I didn't snoop further then, but it planted a seed. So I did what I do best. I gathered data. I opened the folder and slid a printed photograph across the desk. It was Connor's medical record, the page clearly showing his vasectomy from 2019 and a follow-up confirmation from 2020 showing 0 sperm count. "Connor's sterile," I said. "Has been for 5 years. The color drained from her face. She grabbed the paper, stared at it like she could change what it said. "You went through his medical records. That's illegal. That's a violation of—" Connor gave me access to his medical portal years ago when he was shopping for insurance plans. Never removed my access. And before you try this story on anyone else, you should know I've already talked to him." This was partially a bluff. I'd texted Connor 2 days ago with a screenshot and a simple message. "Marissa might try to tell people you got her pregnant, just a heads up." He'd responded with question marks and then called me. I let it go to voicemail then, but I knew he'd be on alert. As if on cue, my phone rang. "Connor." I put it on speaker. "Elias, what the hell is going on?" Connor's voice was sharp. "Marissa's been blowing up my phone for 20 minutes. I blocked her." "Did she actually?" "She's standing right here," I said calmly. "She just told me she's pregnant with your baby." Silence. Then, "That's impossible and she knows it. I've told her multiple times over the years about my vasectomy. I haven't been alone with her in months." Marissa lunged for my phone. I held it away. "Connor, thanks for confirming. We'll talk later." I ended the call. Marissa was breathing hard, her face flushed. "Fine," she shouted. "Fine, it's not Connor's, it's yours." I pulled up my calendar on my computer screen and turned it toward her. "I was in Austin the entire month of July for that project migration. You said mid-July conception, right? That would track with late October, but I wasn't here. I was in Texas for 4 weeks straight. It must have been before that. June or—" "We haven't had sex since February 16th. I remember because it was the night before my birthday and you cried afterward." It wasn't something I wanted to remember, but my brain holds onto painful data. She crumpled, literally sank down against the doorframe and started sobbing. "Please," she whispered, "please don't do this." "Do what?" "I haven't done anything. You're the one who came in here with a story that doesn't hold up to even basic scrutiny. It's complicated." "Then uncomplicate it." She shook her head, still crying. I can't tell you." I stood up. "Then I think you should stay at Harper's tonight. We'll figure out next steps when you're ready to tell me the truth." She left an hour later with an overnight bag. I sat in my office until 2 a.m., running through scenarios trying to make the data points connect. They didn't. Not to Connor, not to me, not to anyone I could think of. But I had a feeling I was missing something big. The next morning, I called a lawyer. Then I called a private investigator my lawyer recommended. This might sound cold, but this is how I operate. When I don't understand the system, I collect more information until the pattern emerges. Edit, some of you are asking if I still love her. I think I've been grieving our marriage for months. This feels like the final data point in a failed experiment. Edit 2, Yes, I'm 100% sure about Connor's vasectomy. I was there. That's not the variable in this equation. Update 1. I found the hotel receipts. This is worse than I thought. It's been 4 days since Marissa left. She keeps texting defensive messages about how I'm making this a bigger deal than it needs to be and how we can work through this. No actual truth, though. No real answers. The pie I hired works fast. Yesterday, he sent me a report that made my stomach turn. In July, while I was in Austin, Marissa's car was tracked to the cliffside in about 40 minutes north of here. Twice. July 18th and 19th. She stayed overnight both times. The pie got copies of the hotel registry. She checked in under her own name, which surprised me. I'd have expected more caution. The room was paid for in cash both nights. No second name on the registry, but here's where it gets strange. The hotel has exterior security cameras. The pie got footage. Marissa arrived alone both nights. Around 8 p.m. on the 18th, around 7 p.m. on the 19th. She left alone the next morning each time. No one else was visible entering or leaving that room. Could have been someone already inside, the pie said, or someone who knows the service entrances, or someone who checked into a different room and used the interior hallways. Hotels like this don't have cameras in the corridors. I've been turning this over constantly. Who would Marissa meet at a hotel? Why 2 nights? And how does this connect to a pregnancy she first tried to pin on Connor? Connor's been great through this. He called yesterday just to check in. He's legitimately worried about me, keeps saying he can't imagine what I'm dealing with. I told him about the hotel stays. He was as confused as I am. I don't know anyone he trailed off. Wait, she's been staying at Harper's a lot lately, right? 3 or 4 nights a week for the past 2 months. And Harper's married to Malcolm. I didn't like where this was going. Yeah. I'm not saying anything definite, man, but Malcolm's a good-looking guy, and he's got that whole corporate success thing that Marissa always seemed fixated on. Malcolm is Harper's husband. They've been married for 7 years. He works in pharmaceutical sales, makes good money, drives a nice car. Marissa has made comments over the years about how Harper married well while implying I'm somehow lacking by comparison. But Malcolm, that seemed absurd. He and Harper have always seemed solid, and why would they need a hotel if Harper was home, unless Harper was there, unless they needed privacy from Harper? I sat with that thought for a long time, then I called the pie back. Can you find out if Malcolm or Harper were in the area of Cliffside Inn on July 18th or 19th? I can try. Give me a day or two. This morning he called back. Malcolm's car was picked up on traffic cameras heading north on Highway 101 on the evening of July 18th. About 30 minutes before Marissa arrived at the hotel, his car was seen heading back south around 9 a.m. on July 19th. Harper's car never left their driveway either night. So Marissa went to a hotel. Malcolm went to the same area both nights, and somehow Marissa ended up pregnant. I feel sick. I called my lawyer, told her everything. She was quiet for a moment, then said, Elias, if this involves Harper's husband, there are family dynamics that could affect proceedings. Do not confront anyone yet. But I can't just sit on this. I called Marissa's younger sister, Imani. She's always been the most level-headed of the siblings, and she's close with Harper. I texted, do you have a few minutes to talk? It's important. She called within 5 minutes. I gave her the abbreviated version. Marissa's pregnant, it's not mine, it's not Connor's, and evidence points toward Malcolm. The silence was deafening. Imani, I need to tell you something, she said slowly. But you have to promise not to tell Marissa. I promise. Harper called me in mid-July. She was upset because Malcolm had gone on an overnight work trip and hadn't told her until the last minute. She said he'd been distant lately, came back from the trip acting weird, defensive. She asked if I thought he might be cheating. July 18th and 19th. The dates matched perfectly. What did you tell her? I told her to trust her gut but not to jump to conclusions. I offered to stay with her, but she said Marissa was coming over. Marissa stayed with her those 2 nights to keep her company, except Marissa wasn't at Harper's house. Marissa was at the Cliffside Inn, where Malcolm was also seen. Imani, I think Marissa was with Malcolm at that hotel. I could hear her breathing, sharp and unsteady. Oh my God, Harper, does Harper know? I don't think so, not yet. This is going to destroy her. We talked for a while longer. Imani promised to keep this between us for now, but she sounded shaken. Before we hung up, she said something that stuck with me. Marissa's always been jealous of Harper, ever since we were kids. Always wanted what Harper had. I never thought she'd. She didn't finish the sentence. That evening, Marissa showed up at the house. I wasn't expecting her. She let herself in with her key, found me in the living room. "We need to talk," she said. "I agree. I'll tell you the truth, but you have to promise me something first." "I'm not promising anything." "Elias, please, this is going to hurt people you care about." "Then maybe you should have thought about that before you got pregnant with someone else's baby." She flinched, sat down on the couch far from me, picked at her fingernails. "It's Malcolm's," she said quietly. There it was. The confirmation. "Does Harper know?" "No, and she can't. Elias, please, she can't find out. It would kill her." I laughed, actual laughter, hollow and bitter. "You're worried about Harper now after you slept with her husband. It's not like that, it's complicated." "Then explain it." She looked at me, tears streaming down her face. "I can't." "You mean you won't?" She stood up. "Fine, believe whatever you want. But if you tell Harper, you're the one who's destroying that family, not me." She left. I sat there in the dark for a long time. The next morning, I got another message from the Pi. He'd done more digging. In early September, Malcolm and Harper rented a cabin near the coast for a long weekend. September 6th through 9th. Some kind of reconciliation trip. But Malcolm's phone pinged a cell tower near that cabin on September 7th at 3:47 a.m. And Marissa's phone pinged the same tower, same night, same timestamp. Marissa had gone to their cabin in the middle of the night. Why would she do that? "I'm meeting with my lawyer tomorrow. This has moved beyond just divorce. Something happened at that cabin and I need to know what." Edit. "Yes, I know I should tell Harper. I'm trying to understand the full picture first. She deserves to know, but I need all the facts." Edit 2. Some of you are asking about paternity tests. My lawyer says to wait until the baby is born for legal purposes. Update 2. Malcolm had cameras. There's audio. I can't unhear it. Previous posts in my history. Short version. Wife is pregnant with her sister's husband's baby. I found hotel receipts. Yesterday I found out Marissa visited their reconciliation cabin in the middle of the night. This morning Harper called me. "Elias, we need to talk. Malcolm told me everything." My first thought was relief. He'd come clean. Harper knew I wouldn't have to be the one to shatter her world. "Can you come over?" she asked. Her voice was flat, hollow. "Bring Connor if he's available." Connor was at my place. We drove to their house together, barely speaking. The silence in the truck was heavy. Harper answered the door. She looked destroyed, eyes red and swollen, face pale. Malcolm stood behind her and he looked worse, pale, unsteady, like he might collapse at any moment. We sat in their living room. Harper pulled up a chair directly across from us. Malcolm stayed standing near the fireplace, hands shoved in his pockets. "Malcolm installed security cameras in our bedroom," Harper said. Her voice was mechanical, like she was reading from a script. "After a break-in in our neighborhood last year, I knew about the outdoor cameras. I didn't know about the bedroom one. He forgot it was there." My stomach dropped. I knew where this was going. "The camera has night vision and audio recording," she continued. "It backs up to a cloud server automatically." Malcolm cleared his throat. "The cabin has cameras too, same system. I set them up because it's remote and we're only there a few times a year." Harper pulled out her laptop, set it on the coffee table. "I'm going to show you something, and then you're going to understand why I asked you here instead of calling the police immediately." She pressed play on a video file. The timestamp read September 7th, 2025, 3:47 a.m. The footage was grainy night vision but clear enough. A bedroom. Harper and Malcolm asleep in bed. Then a door opening slowly. A figure moving through the room. Marissa, she was carrying something. She went to Malcolm's side of the bed. The audio picked up whispered sounds, the rustle of fabric, the clink of glass, something being poured or mixed. Then she left. Harper stopped the video. "That's not the worst part." She fast-forwarded. 4:23 a.m., the bedroom again. Malcolm stirred, sat up. He looked confused, disoriented. He got up, stumbled toward the bathroom. His movements were uncoordinated, like he was drunk. The camera angle caught Marissa in the hallway. She approached him. The audio picked up her voice, distorted but audible. "Hey, you okay? You seem really out of it." What happened next made me feel like I was watching a horror film. Malcolm was barely coherent, slurring words. Marissa guided him not back to the master bedroom where Harper still slept, but toward the guest room. Harper clicked to a different file. Guest room camera. September 7th, 4:31 a.m. I'm not going to describe what was on that video in detail. I can't. But what I will say is this. Malcolm was not conscious enough to consent to anything. He was mumbling, trying to push her away at several points. At one point he said stop clearly enough that even the audio caught it. Marissa did not stop. Harper paused the video. The room was silent except for my own heartbeat pounding in my ears. Connor looked like he was going to be sick. "What the hell?" he whispered. "There's more," Harper said. Her voice cracked. "I found her prescription records. She refilled Xanax 3 days before our trip. I called her psychiatrist's office. She hasn't had a Xanax prescription in 2 years. She got it from an online service, lied about her symptoms." Malcolm finally spoke. His voice was wrecked. "I woke up the next morning feeling like I'd been hit by a truck. Headache, nausea, memory gaps. I thought I'd just drunk too much the night before, but Harper and I only had 2 glasses of wine with dinner. I should have known something was wrong." "Malcolm's glass had residue in it," Harper said. "I kept it because I thought it was weird how sick he was. I had it tested yesterday, alprazolam, Xanax." She drugged him. Marissa had drugged Malcolm, waited for it to take effect, and then, I couldn't even process it. My brain was trying to categorize this into something logical, but it wouldn't fit. "Have you been to the police?" Connor asked. "Not yet," Malcolm said. "We wanted to talk to you first, because Marissa's your family and because," he looked at me, "she's carrying my child, biologically, but I need you to understand that I never wanted this. I never consented to any of it." Harper stood up abruptly. "I'm filing a police report today, and I'm filing for divorce, but I wanted you to see the evidence first because Marissa is going to lie. She's going to say it was an affair or that Malcolm wanted it or that I'm making this up out of jealousy. I need you both to know the truth." Connor and I left an hour later. Neither of us said anything until we got back to my place. "She raped him," Connor finally said. "Marissa raped Malcolm." I couldn't respond. The word hung in the air between us, ugly and undeniable. My phone buzzed. A text from Imani. "Harper just called me crying." "What happened?" I called her back, told her everything I could stomach repeating. She was silent for a long time. Then, "I need to tell you something else. Last year, Marissa asked me a bunch of weird questions about Xanax, how much it would take to make someone really drowsy. I thought she was asking for herself, for anxiety. Oh God, she was planning this. For how long? I don't know. But Elias, she's been obsessed with Malcolm for years. She used to make comments about how Harper didn't deserve him, how she'd be a better match for him. I thought it was just sister rivalry. I never thought." This afternoon, Marissa called me. I let it go to voicemail. She called again and again. Finally, I answered. "Elias, whatever Harper told you, it's not true. Malcolm and I had a relationship. It was consensual. She's trying to." I hung up. She texted. "I can prove it was consensual. I have texts. I blocked her number." My lawyer called an hour later. "Harper's attorney contacted me. They're sharing the evidence with you formally. This changes everything. The divorce is the least of anyone's concerns now." Tonight, Connor and I are sitting in my living room. He's on his 3rd beer. I haven't touched mine. Tomorrow, Harper's filing the police report. Malcolm's lawyer is preparing documentation. Marissa's going to be arrested. My wife is going to be arrested for rape. I still can't process that sentence. Edit, to everyone asking, yes, men can be victims. Yes, this is rape. No, it doesn't matter that Malcolm's body physically responded. He was drugged and incapacitated. Consent isn't possible in that state. Edit 2, I'm reading every comment. This is the worst thing I've ever experienced, and I wasn't even the primary victim. Final update. Thanksgiving was a disaster. Marissa's facing criminal charges. Thanksgiving was supposed to be at my mother-in-law Celeste's house. Harper told me she was playing the audio for the whole family. I told her that was a terrible idea. She didn't care. Everyone was at dinner Thursday. Celeste, Imani, Harper, Malcolm's in California, some extended family, and Marissa. Everyone was pretending things were normal. We made it 45 minutes before Harper stood up. I have something everyone needs to hear. Celeste went pale. Harper, not today. Yes, today. Harper connected her phone to the Bluetooth speaker. Everyone needs to know what Marissa did. Marissa jumped up. Don't you dare. Harper hit play. The audio from the cabin, 3:47 a.m. Rustling sounds, Marissa's whispered voice, Malcolm's slurred responses, the sounds of what happened, the parts where Malcolm said stop, 3 minutes and 47 seconds. No one moved. When it ended, the silence was suffocating. Celeste broke it. That doesn't prove anything. That could be out of context. It's time-stamped, Mother, Harper said, shaking. There's video too. Malcolm was drugged with Xanax. The toxicology report proves it. She's being charged with third-degree sexual assault and administration of drugs to facilitate a crime. Marissa exploded. It was role play. Malcolm wanted it rough. We've been texting about it for weeks. Show us the texts, Imani said coldly. Marissa fumbled with her phone. Connor grabbed it, looked at the screen. These are from an unsaved number. The conversation starts the day after the cabin. You created these. Relatives started leaving. One aunt, then another, 2 cousins. Celeste was crying. Marissa, baby, tell them the truth. Marissa looked around at all of us. I loved him. I loved Malcolm, and he wouldn't even look at me. Harper had everything and she didn't appreciate him. You deserved nothing. Harper cut her off. You drugged and raped my husband. And now you're carrying his baby as proof. Marissa ran out. Celeste ran after her. I left an hour later. Connor came with me. We got drunk and didn't talk about it. That was 2 weeks ago. Malcolm got paternity confirmation. He's filing to terminate parental rights once the baby's born. He wants nothing to do with this child. Marissa's trial is set for March. Her lawyer tried arguing that because Malcolm finished, it couldn't be assault. The prosecutor went silent before responding. Your client drugged the victim and assaulted him while incapacitated. The victim's physical responses are irrelevant to consent. Her lawyer tried negotiating a plea. Marissa's refusing. She believes she didn't do anything wrong. She's looking at 2 to 4 years minimum. The premeditation is clear, fraudulent prescription, bringing drugs to the cabin, the planning. Harper's divorce is moving forward. She's in therapy twice a week. She told me she's mourning both her marriage and her sister. She can't reconcile the Marissa she grew up with and the Marissa who did this. My divorce was finalized last week. Marissa didn't contest anything. I kept the house, cars, savings. She kept her legal bills. Celeste hasn't spoken to me, Connor, Harper, or Imani since Thanksgiving. She's standing by Marissa, insisting this is a misunderstanding. Imani tried to reason with her. Celeste told her to stop siding with the men over your own sister. Imani hasn't spoken to their mother since. Connor jokes that his vasectomy saved his life. Dark humor, but he's not wrong. If Marissa had been able to pin this pregnancy on him, who knows what other lies she'd have constructed. I'm moving to Seattle in January. New job, fresh start. I've been casually seeing someone I met through work, nothing serious yet, but it's nice to feel human again. Malcolm's doing okay, considering. We've texted a few times. He thanked me for believing him. I told him I was sorry for what my ex-wife did to him. He said it wasn't my fault. I'm working on believing that in therapy. The baby's due in April. Marissa will likely be in prison by then. I don't know what happens to a baby born to an incarcerated mother who's the product of rape. That child is going to have the worst origin story imaginable, and I can't fix that. Someone asked if I still loved Marissa. I don't think I loved the real Marissa. I loved the version she showed me, carefully constructed to hide the darkness inside. The real Marissa drugged and raped her sister's husband to get pregnant with his baby. Tried to pin it on my sterile brother, destroyed multiple families and feels no remorse. I don't love that person. I don't think I ever knew that person, but I love the fiction. And I'm grieving the loss of that fiction even though it was never real. I'm okay though, or I will be. Connor and I are closer than ever. Harper is slowly rebuilding her life. Malcolm is getting the help he needs. Imani cut off her toxic mother. We're all moving forward in our own ways. As for Marissa, She'll face the consequences of her actions. The justice system will determine her fate, and that baby will hopefully find a loving home far away from all this mess. Thanks for listening to this nightmare, Reddit. I hope none of you ever have to live through anything like this. Edit: if Malcolm terminates rights and Marissa's incarcerated, the baby will likely go into foster care unless family steps up. Celeste might petition for custody, which honestly terrifies me. Story 3. My wife accused me of being unstable to take our kids. Here's how I fought back with 6 months of footage she didn't know existed. I need to get this off my chest because I'm still processing everything that happened this week. My marriage is over and I'm in the middle of a custody fight that got nuclear fast. I'm a structural engineer living in Cedar Hill, Oregon. My wife Claire and I have been married 8 years. We have 2 kids, Ella who just turned 7 and Noah who's 5. On paper, we looked like a normal suburban family, but the last 18 months have been complicated. Claire lost her marketing consulting job about a year and a half ago. At first, she said she'd take time to reset and spend more time with the kids. That lasted maybe 2 months before things started sliding. The drinking started small, a glass of wine at lunch. Then 2. Then she'd be halfway through a bottle by the time I got home from work. She'd be irritable, sometimes slurring her words, and the kids would be glued to the TV or iPad because she couldn't engage with them. I tried talking to her multiple times. Suggested therapy, offered to go with her, asked if she wanted to look for new jobs. Every conversation ended the same way: she'd either cry and promise to do better, or she'd get defensive and accuse me of being controlling. The last conversation we had about it, I came home early and found her passed out on the couch at 2 p.m. with an empty wine bottle on the floor. Noah was in the backyard alone and Ella was in her room with the door locked. When Claire finally woke up, I tried one more time. "Claire, this can't keep happening. The kids need you. I need you to get help." She looked at me with these bloodshot eyes and said, "You want to control me, Ethan. That's what this is really about. You want me to be your perfect little housewife, and when I'm not, you make me feel like shit. Maybe if you were home more instead of always at work, I wouldn't need to drink." That was the moment I realized I couldn't save her. I could only save our kids. The drinking never stopped after that conversation. It just got more secretive. Here's where I made a decision that probably saved my kids. 6 months ago, I installed security cameras in our common areas. Living room, kitchen, playroom. Not the bedrooms or bathrooms. I'm not a monster. Oregon is a one-party consent state, and it's my house too, so this was completely legal. I didn't tell Claire because I knew she'd either hide her behavior better or blow up at me for spying. What those cameras captured over 6 months was worse than I thought. Claire drinking starting at 10 and most days, passing out on the couch while Noah played alone in the backyard. Ella making sandwiches for both of them because Mom was too tired. Multiple occasions where Claire had friends over, and I used that term loosely, while the kids were home. Strange cars in the driveway during school hours. And worst of all, several phone conversations where she talked about getting the house and child support when this is over, and my lawyer says judges favor mothers. She was planning this, and I was documenting everything. Last Monday morning, I woke up to a text message. "I took the kids to my mother's. My lawyer will be in touch." No warning, no conversation, just gone. By Tuesday afternoon, I was served with papers seeking full physical and legal custody. The petition claimed I was psychologically unstable and had threatened physical violence. Complete lies. There were also allegations about my unpredictable work schedule and emotional unavailability. She was painting me as an unfit father. But here's the kicker: she also sent emails to 3 of my colleagues at the firm, warning them about my supposed history of domestic violence and erratic behavior. She was trying to destroy my reputation and my career in one move. That's when I called Marissa Dwyer. She's a family law attorney someone recommended to me months ago, back when I first realized things might head this direction. I'd never actually hired her, but I'd kept her card. Monday night, I sent her everything. Every hour of footage, every screenshot, every document. By Tuesday morning, we had a plan. I'm not going to let someone who endangered our children take them away from me with lies. Reddit, I need to know, did I do the right thing by recording? Was I wrong to wait this long? I feel like I'm in a nightmare where I have to prove I'm not a bad person, and the only reason I have a fighting chance is because I documented the truth. The hearing is in 3 days. I'm terrified and angry, and I just want my kids home safe. Update 1. Holy shit, you guys. I can't believe how much has happened in 96 hours. I'm still shaking as I type this, but I promised I'd update. First off, thank you. Seriously. The responses on my original post gave me the clarity I needed. Some of you called me smart for documenting. Others said I should have acted sooner, but everyone agreed. Protect those kids. That's exactly what I did. So here's what went down with Marissa, my lawyer. Wednesday morning, she filed an emergency motion for temporary custody with a full brief attached. She'd spent all Tuesday night pulling together everything we had. The comprehensive footage summary with timestamps, affidavits from Ella's teacher about her coming to school hungry, medical records from Noah's pediatrician showing 2 ER visits this year for things that should never have happened, a stove burn, and eating something nasty he found under the couch, written statements from neighbors who'd witnessed Claire drinking on the front porch at noon, and copies of those emails she'd sent to my workplace trying to sabotage me. The smoking gun was a 6-minute compilation video Marissa's team put together. Key moments. Claire passed out while Noah played with kitchen knives. Claire yelling at Ella to deal with your brother. Mommy has a headache. 3 different men entering the house while the kids were home. And the absolute worst, audio from one of those phone calls where Claire explicitly discussed her exit strategy for getting everything in the divorce. Claire's lawyer, some guy named Gordon Penfield, lost his mind when he got our filing. He immediately fired back with a motion to exclude the video evidence, claiming it was illegally obtained and violated her privacy. Marissa absolutely eviscerated that argument. Oregon law are shared property, common areas only, completely legal. Penfield knew it too. Here's where things moved at light speed. Within 19 hours of seeing that video compilation, Claire's side went from demanding I only get supervised visitation to suddenly being willing to discuss shared custody. 19 hours. That's how fast they realized they were screwed. But Marissa wasn't playing. Your client had 6 months to be a responsible parent. We're not negotiating. The emergency hearing was set for Friday morning. Friday was brutal. The courthouse in Cedar Hill isn't big, so everyone knows everyone. I could feel eyes on me walking in. Claire was already there with her mom, who gave me this look of pure hatred. Claire looked rough, shaky hands, dark circles, but she'd clearly gotten herself together enough to appear in court. Judge Lyman is in his 60s, seen everything, takes zero BS. He watched the 6 minutes compilation in complete silence. Then he asked to see the unedited footage from 3 specific dates. We had it. All timestamped, all metadata intact. He spent 40 minutes reviewing it in chambers. When he came back, his face was stone. I've seen enough. These children need a stable environment immediately. Temporary physical and legal custody is awarded to Mr. Ward pending full hearing. Claire started crying, like loud sobbing. Her lawyer tried to calm her down, but she just kept saying this isn't fair over and over. The judge warned her to compose herself or he'd have her removed. She eventually quieted down, but you could see the rage building. We left the courthouse separately, Marissa's advice. But apparently Claire didn't get the memo about keeping her cool. As I was walking to my car in the parking garage, I heard heels clicking fast behind me. I turned around just as Claire reached for my shoulder, screaming, "You manipulative bastard." She tried to slap me, but I stepped back and she missed. What she didn't know, the parking garage has security cameras. Every second was recorded. 2 people saw it happen too. Marissa was still in the building and came running when she heard the shouting. A courthouse security officer got involved, and Claire was escorted out while threatening to make me pay for this. I picked up Ella and Noah from Claire's mother's house that afternoon with a police escort, Marissa insisted. My daughter ran to me so fast she nearly knocked me over. Noah was quieter, more hesitant, but he held my hand the whole walk to the car. Claire's mother handed over their bags without a word, but the look on her face said plenty. That night I made the kids their favorite dinner, spaghetti with the special sauce that's just jarred Prego with extra garlic. We played board games. Noah fell asleep on the couch holding his stuffed dinosaur. Ella asked me if Mommy is sick and whether she was going to get better. I didn't know how to answer that. So I just said, Mommy is working on it, sweetheart, but you're safe here with me. Reddit, I have my kids back, but this is far from over. Claire's lawyer already filed a motion to reconsider, and I know her well enough to know she's not going to take this quietly. More updates coming as things develop. Thank you all again for the support. Update 2 okay, so remember how I said this wasn't over. Yeah, it got worse before it got better. But also better in ways I didn't expect. This whole thing is such a mess. Let me start with the good news. The kids are adjusting. Ella's teacher sent me an email saying she's been more focused and happy in class this week. Noah's sleeping through the night for the first time in months, no more bedwetting, which his pediatrician said was likely stress-related. We have a routine now, breakfast together, I drop them at school, my boss is letting me work from home 2 days a week, and we do homework at the kitchen table. It's not perfect, but it's stable. They're thriving. Now the not-so-good news. Claire violated the custody order. Twice. First time, last Monday at 6 a.m. she showed up at my house drunk. Like stumbling drunk. BAC later tested at 0.12. She started pounding on the door, yelling about needing to see her babies. The kids were still asleep, thank God. I called the police immediately. Marissa had told me to treat any violation like an emergency. 2 officers showed up within 8 minutes. She tried to tell them I was keeping her children hostage, but they could smell the alcohol. They arrested her on the spot for violating the custody order and public intoxication. She spent 6 hours in holding. Second time, Wednesday afternoon during her first supervised visitation. The court had granted her 2 hours every Wednesday at a supervised visitation center. I was hopeful maybe she'd cleaned up, maybe this could work. I dropped the kids off, and the supervisor was this older woman named Janet who looked like she'd seen it all. I got a call 40 minutes later. Claire had shown up with alcohol on her breath, BAC of 0.08, right at the legal limit. Not fall down drunk, but enough. When Janet mentioned it, Claire got loud, started yelling about how everyone is against her and how I'd turned her own children away from her. Ella started crying. Noah just shut down. The visit was terminated immediately, and Janet's incident report went straight to the court. Claire has now lost even supervised visitation pending a review hearing. She has to complete AA meetings and a parenting skills class before she can even petition to see them again. But here's where things took a really unexpected turn. A woman named Sophie contacted Marissa's office last Thursday. Sophie is married to the guy Claire was having an affair with. Apparently, she'd figured out what was going on after finding hotel receipts and going through his phone. When she saw Claire's name come up in the local news, yes, it made the local news small-town problems. She connected the dots. Sophie handed over everything. Text messages between Claire and her husband talking about weekend getaways. Emails discussing how Claire planned to get the house and set herself up after the divorce. Even a voice memo where Claire joked about playing the victim card because judges eat that up. It was calculated, all of it. Marissa added Sophie's evidence to our file. Gordon Penfield, Claire's lawyer, apparently quit after seeing it. Just straight up withdrew from the case. I don't blame him. There's no way to defend this anymore. Meanwhile, Claire went scorched earth on social media. She posted this long rant on Facebook about how I'm a manipulative narcissist with money who's weaponizing the legal system against her. She called me controlling and claimed I'd isolated her from friends and family. Several people shared it. For about 12 hours, I was getting nasty looks at the grocery store and the gym. Then something amazing happened. My neighbors started commenting. Ella's teacher commented. Parents from Noah's preschool. All of them vouching for me, sharing their own observations about Claire's behavior and the kids' well-being. One neighbor, Mrs. Kelso, shared doorbell camera footage from 2 months ago showing Claire backing out of our driveway drunk at 2 p.m. and nearly hitting a mailbox. The post went from being about me to being a character witness statement in my favor. Claire deleted it within 24 hours, but screenshots live forever. The worst part of this week, someone sent an anonymous email to my boss claiming I'd been embezzling funds from projects. Completely fabricated. My boss called me into his office and I thought I was done. But he showed me the email and said, "This is nonsense, but I have to investigate for HR purposes." 2 hours later, after reviewing my expense reports and project budgets, I was cleared. My boss pulled me aside and said, "I don't know who's trying to sabotage you, but they picked the wrong target. You're one of the most meticulous people here." I know it was Claire, or someone acting on her behalf. Marissa added the incident to our documentation. The final custody hearing is in 6 days. Marissa says we're in a strong position, but I'm not celebrating until that gavel comes down. Claire has a new lawyer now, some woman from Portland who apparently specializes in father's rights defense cases. Ironic. Ella asked me yesterday if she has to see mommy again. I told her the truth. The judge will decide what's best for you and your brother, but I promise I will always keep you safe. She hugged me and said, "I know, Daddy." That's what keeps me going. My kids know they're safe. Whatever happens next, that's what matters. Final update, it's over. I can finally breathe. The final custody hearing was yesterday, and I need to get this all down while it's still fresh. Then honestly, I think I need to step away from Reddit for a while and just focus on being a dad. But I owe you all this final update because your support got me through some really dark moments. Monday morning started early. Marissa met me at the courthouse at 8 a.m. to go over everything one last time. She was confident but realistic. The evidence is overwhelming in your favor, but judges can be unpredictable. Stay calm, answer clearly, and let me handle the cross-examination. Claire showed up with her new lawyer, a woman named Patricia something or other. She looked expensive, tailored suit, leather briefcase, the whole deal. Claire herself looked small. She'd clearly put effort into her appearance, but there was something defeated in her posture. Judge Lyman started by reviewing all the evidence we'd submitted, and God, there was a lot of it. The original 6 months of camera footage, both police reports from when Claire violated the custody order, Janet's incident reports from the supervised visits, all of Sophie's evidence about the affair and Claire's planning, the school and medical records showing how the kids were doing, documentation of the whole social media incident with neighbor testimonies, and even that anonymous email someone sent to my workplace trying to get me fired, which my boss had forwarded with his own statement backing me up. Then he asked Claire's lawyer to present her defense. This is where things got sad, honestly. Patricia's entire strategy was painting Claire as someone who'd hit rock bottom but was committed to recovery. She emphasized that Claire had attended 4 AA meetings in the past 2 weeks and had enrolled in a parenting skills class. She argued that addiction is a disease and that Claire deserved a chance to prove she could be the mother the kids deserved. She wasn't wrong about the addiction part, but Marissa stood up and calmly noted that Claire hadn't entered treatment until after losing custody, after violating court orders twice, and after trying to destroy my reputation. This isn't recovery, Marissa said. This is damage control. Then came the hardest part. Ella's teacher and Noah's pediatrician both testified via video call. The teacher talked about how Ella used to come to school anxious and unfocused, sometimes without lunch, and how she'd improved dramatically in just 2 weeks of stable home environment. The pediatrician discussed Noah's stress-related symptoms and how they'd already begun to resolve. Claire started crying during the pediatrician's testimony. Not the angry, dramatic sobbing from the first hearing, just quiet tears running down her face. Part of me wanted to feel vindicated, but mostly I just felt sad for everyone involved. Judge Lyman took a 15-minute recess. When he came back, he looked directly at Claire. "Ms. Ward, I want to be clear. I don't doubt that you love your children, but love alone doesn't create a safe environment. Your actions over the past 6 months show a pattern of prioritizing your own wants over their needs. Your actions in the past 2 weeks show an unwillingness to accept accountability. Then he turned to me. Mr. Ward, you've demonstrated consistent, responsible parenting. You took appropriate legal measures to document a deteriorating situation, and you've provided a stable home for your children during an incredibly difficult time. His ruling: I was awarded full legal and physical custody. Claire would be allowed supervised visitation once she completed a 90-day substance abuse treatment program and could provide documentation of consistent sobriety. After that, we could revisit a gradual reunification plan, but only if she remained sober and engaged in treatment. The courtroom was silent. Claire just stared at the table. Patricia put a hand on her shoulder, whispered something, and then they left without another word. Marissa shook my hand and said, "You did good. Now go be with your kids." So here's where we are now, 3 months after that text message that started this whole nightmare. Ella is getting straight A's. She joined the school art club and is making pottery. She asks about her mom sometimes, but less frequently. Last week she told me she wants to learn to cook real food, not just sandwiches. Noah started guitar lessons. The teacher says he has a natural rhythm. He's also back to being the goofy, energetic kid he was 2 years ago. Last night he told me a joke he made up himself. Why did the dinosaur eat his homework? Because the teacher said it was a piece of cake. It doesn't make sense, but he laughed so hard he couldn't breathe. Claire completed 4 AA meetings and had 1 supervised visit that went okay. She was sober, appropriate, and the kids seemed comfortable. But in the parking lot afterward, I heard her on the phone telling someone that Ethan poisoned them against me and that she's just playing along until the judge sees reason. So, we'll see. I'm not holding my breath for genuine change. As for me, I still have the cameras running. Not because I'm paranoid, but because I've learned a hard truth: trust but verify. The footage is automatically backed up to a secure cloud service. I hope I never need it again, but if I do, it's there. Someone asked in my original post whether I did the right thing by recording. Here's my answer now. I did what I had to do to protect my children. Would I have preferred a different outcome? Of course. I wish Claire had gotten help before it came to this. I wish our marriage hadn't imploded. I wish my kids had 2 healthy, present parents. But wishing doesn't keep your kids safe. Documentation does. Truth does. Standing up for them when they can't stand up for themselves does. I'm logging off now. Time to go make dinner. Tonight's menu: spaghetti with special sauce and a side of steamed broccoli that Noah will definitely complain about. Then maybe we'll watch a movie, and I'll fall asleep on the couch with a kid on each side of me. That's victory enough for me. Thanks for everything, Reddit. You helped me keep my head on straight when I needed it most. Story 4. My girlfriend faked a hospital emergency to test me. Found out she was actually at a resort with my ex-coworker. I need to get this off my chest because I'm still processing what the hell just happened. My girlfriend Lydia and I have been together for almost a year. We've been living together in my apartment for the past 6 months, though the lease is only in my name. I cover rent and most bills. She chips in for groceries and utilities when her freelance design work is steady. Things have been rocky lately, I'll admit. Lydia has this pattern where she'll disappear for hours without responding to texts, then come back acting like nothing happened. Or she'll send vague messages about needing space to think and go silent for a day or 2. I've tried talking to her about it, but she always says I'm being controlling or that I don't understand how anxiety works. Maybe I don't, I thought. Maybe I'm the problem. Then there's Grant. He's 39, used to work at my company before he left last year under some weird circumstances involving rumors about him and someone in accounting. Somehow he and Lydia reconnected a few months ago through mutual friends. She started meeting him for coffee to vent about relationship stuff, because he's been through similar things and gets it. I wasn't thrilled, but I didn't want to be that boyfriend who tells his girlfriend who she can be friends with. So here's what happened 3 nights ago. I'm at home around 9 p.m. finishing up some project reports when I get a text from Lydia. Just a photo and a message. I'm at the hospital. Just wanted you to know why I did what I did." My heart dropped. The photo showed what looked like a hospital bed, dim lighting, that distinctive healthcare facility vibe. I immediately called her. No answer. Texted asking which hospital, what happened, was she okay. Nothing. I'm freaking out, about to start calling every ER in Portland. But something felt off. I zoomed in on the photo and noticed the angle seemed weird, too perfectly composed. The lighting was almost staged. So I did something I'd never done before. I ran a reverse image search on my laptop. It was a stock photo from a medical website, downloaded over 50,000 times according to the image database. I sat there staring at my screen for probably 5 minutes, trying to make sense of it. Then I looked at the text metadata. iPhones embed location data in messages if you have certain settings on. I'd helped Lydia set up her new phone a few months ago and honestly didn't think about it. The coordinates weren't from any hospital. They pointed to Silver Lake Resort, about 2 hours outside Portland. A quick social media check showed Grant had posted a story earlier that day at the same resort, something about much-needed getaway weekend. I screenshotted everything. The fake photo, the metadata, the location coordinates, Grant's social media post. Backed it all up to 3 different cloud services. Then I just sat there feeling completely numb. She texted again around midnight. "I knew you wouldn't care enough to even check on me." I didn't respond. I couldn't. Part of me wanted to call her out immediately, but another part was just exhausted. I'd been making excuses for her behavior for months, always giving her the benefit of the doubt, always wondering if I was being unreasonable. This felt like the universe handing me a signed confession. The next morning, I got a call from her mom. Mrs. Hart was crying, asking if I knew which hospital Lydia was at, saying Lydia had texted them something about being admitted overnight for observation, and they couldn't reach her. I asked if we could meet for coffee, told them I had information they needed to see. We met that afternoon at a place near their house. I showed them everything: the stock photo, the real location data, Grant's post. Her dad got very quiet. Her mom started crying harder. They tried calling Lydia right there. She didn't pick up. Then around 4 p.m., Lydia walks into the coffee shop. She's in casual clothes, looks perfectly healthy, and freezes when she sees all of us sitting together. Her mom asks where she's been. Lydia starts with the hospital story, then sees her parents' faces and my phone on the table showing all the screenshots. The look that crossed her face, I'd never seen anything like it. Not guilt, not embarrassment, pure rage that she'd been caught. She started yelling about me, tracking her like a psycho and violating her privacy. Her dad cut her off and asked her directly where she'd really been. She grabbed her bag and walked out. Her parents apologized to me, said they'd handle it, and left too. I drove home feeling like I'd just survived something, but I had no idea what was still coming. That was 2 days ago. I haven't heard from her since, but honestly, I'm relieved. I changed the locks yesterday morning. Had a locksmith come out and install new deadbolts on everything. I'm done. Or at least I thought I was done. Then last night happened, and now I'm dealing with something way worse than a fake hospital photo. Edit. Holy crap, I did not expect this response. Thank you all for the support and reality checks. Some people are asking why I didn't just break up with her before this. Fair question. I guess I kept thinking things would get better, or that I was overreacting to the smaller stuff. This was my wake-up call. Edit 2. To answer the common questions, yes, I have copies of everything. Yes, I know she technically lived here even without being on the lease. No, I'm not letting her back in. And yes, I realize how messed up this all is. I'm reading all your comments, and honestly, they're helping me see how far gone this relationship was before the hospital thing even happened. Update 1: original post is in my history. Short version: girlfriend faked hospital emergency with stock photo, was actually at resort with my ex-coworker. I found out via reverse image search and GPS metadata. So I thought changing the locks would be the end of it. I was so incredibly wrong. The day after I posted, Lydia's mom called. She was calmer but sounded exhausted. Told me Lydia had admitted the whole thing to her, made up the hospital story to test whether I really cared. went to the resort with Grant because she needed someone who understood her, and got angry when she realized I'd figured it out. Mrs. Hart apologized repeatedly and said Lydia was staying with them for now. I thanked her for letting me know and thought, okay, this is actually done. We're broken up, she's with her parents, I can move on. Started thinking about how to handle the stuff she'd left behind, planned to box it up and coordinate a pickup through her parents. Then came Wednesday night. I was already in bed around 11 p.m. when my phone buzzed with a notification from my doorbell camera. I have one of those Ring setups that alerts you when there's motion. I opened the app expecting to see a delivery person or maybe a neighbor's cat. It was Lydia. She was trying to unlock my door with her old key. I watched in real time as she tried it 3 times, getting more frustrated each time, before she started banging on the door and yelling my name. I called 911 immediately. Told them my ex-girlfriend was trying to break into my apartment, that I had video evidence, and that I needed an officer. They had someone there in maybe 10 minutes. I stayed on my bedroom side of the apartment with the door locked, watching the whole thing unfold on my phone. The officer knocked and identified himself. Lydia tried explaining that she lived there and just needed to get her things. The officer asked for ID and proof of residence. She couldn't provide any no mail in her name at this address, not on the lease, nothing. He asked me to come to the door, which I did. Confirmed I was the only legal tenant, that she'd been a guest, that we'd broken up, and that I'd changed the locks for exactly this reason. Here's where it got worse. Lydia started crying and told the officer I'd locked her out and kept all her belongings. The officer asked me about it. I told him the truth. She'd moved most of her stuff out on her own when she left after the confrontation with her parents. I had a few boxes of remaining items I was planning to return through her family, and I could show him the Ring footage of her leaving with suitcases. I played him the footage from the day she left. Clear as day, you can see her making multiple trips with bags and boxes, loading them into her car. Timestamp, everything. The officer made a report, gave her a warning about trespassing, and advised her to coordinate with me through a third party if she needed any remaining items. She left with the officer still there. I haven't seen her since, but that wasn't the end of it either. The next morning, I got called into a meeting with Rebecca from HR. Someone had sent an anonymous email to our company's ethics hotline claiming I'd been emotionally abusing my partner and using my position to harass a former employee's friend. It took me a second to even process what she meant by former employee. Then I realized Grant used to work here. This had his and Lydia's fingerprints all over it. Rebecca was professional about it. Said they had to investigate any complaint, but she could tell I was blindsided. I asked if I could provide context and evidence. She said absolutely. So I went home during lunch, got my laptop, and came back with everything. The fake hospital photo and reverse image search. The GPS data showing the resort. Grant's social media post. The timeline of the breakup. The doorbell footage of the breakup night and the attempted break-in. The police report from Wednesday. Rebecca went through it all, took notes, asked a few clarifying questions. Then she said she'd follow up with the appropriate parties and get back to me. The whole thing took maybe 2 days. She called me yesterday to say the investigation was closed, no action needed, and that they'd determined the complaint was made in bad faith. She couldn't tell me more than that, but she did note that it would be documented in case there were any future issues. I also got a call from Owen, my landlord. He's a friend actually, which is how I got this place. Someone had emailed him claiming I'd illegally evicted a tenant and he should be aware of the liability. Owen just laughed and asked me what the hell was going on. I explained everything. He asked me to send him the lease, proof that only my name was on it, and the Ring footage. Did that immediately. He responded an hour later saying he'd replied to the email explaining that there was no illegal eviction, no tenant rights violation, and that any further contact would be considered harassment. I'm honestly exhausted. This was supposed to be a simple breakup. She lied, I found out, we split. But instead I'm dealing with false accusations, attempted break-ins, And what I'm now realizing is a systematic attempt to cause problems in my life. I talked to my friend's wife, who's an attorney. Not for representation yet, just for advice. She told me to document absolutely everything, keep saving footage and screenshots, and be prepared for this to potentially escalate. She said people who do this kind of thing don't usually stop on their own. They either get bored, get what they want, or get legally forced to stop. So I spent last night organizing everything into a folder, set up automatic cloud backups, made a timeline document with every incident, screenshots of texts, photos, GPS data, police report, doorbell footage, emails from HR and my landlord. Everything. If this keeps going, I want to be ready. Part of me feels insane doing this, like I'm being paranoid or making too big a deal out of a bad breakup. But then I remember watching her try to break into my apartment at midnight, or getting called into HR because someone anonymously accused me of abuse, and I remember this isn't normal. Some of you in the comments on my first post saw this coming. Said she'd escalate, that the fake hospital thing was a red flag for worse behavior. You were right. I should have listened more carefully. I'm installing an additional camera in the hallway outside my apartment this weekend, and I'm keeping my phone charged at all times in case I need to call 911 again. Is this my life now? How did a relationship that started normally turn into me living like I'm in witness protection? Edit. Thank you all for validating that I'm not crazy. And yes, I've already started looking into what a restraining order requires in Oregon. Hoping I don't need it, but I'm not ruling anything out. Update 2. Previous posts in my history. My ex faked hospital emergency. I exposed her with receipts. She tried breaking in, filed false HR complaints, and I thought maybe it would finally end there. It didn't. A week after my last update, I got served with papers. Lydia was suing me in small claims court for emotional distress, wrongful retention of property, and violation of tenant rights. She wanted $5,000 in damages plus the value of items I'd kept from her. I immediately called Laura Kim, the attorney my friend had recommended. She looked over the papers and basically said this was a nuisance lawsuit unlikely to go anywhere, but I'd need to show up and defend myself. She agreed to represent me for a reasonable flat fee since it was small claims and pretty straightforward. We spent a few hours going through everything I documented. Laura was impressed with my organization, said most people show up with nothing but their word against someone else's. We had timestamps, GPS data, video evidence, police reports, written statements from her own parents, and documentation from both HR and my landlord showing her previous false complaints had been dismissed. The hearing was scheduled for yesterday afternoon. Laura told me to dress professionally but not too formal, stay calm, and let her do most of the talking. Only answer questions directly when asked. I showed up 20 minutes early. Lydia was already there with her dad. She looked different, tired, thinner, like she hadn't been sleeping well. Part of me felt bad, but then I remembered she'd put me through weeks of hell and was now trying to get money from me for it. When we got called in, the judge asked Lydia to present her case first. She started with the emotional distress angle, saying I'd humiliated her in front of her parents by showing them private information and making her look like a liar. Said I'd violated her privacy by tracking her location. Then claimed I'd locked her out of our shared home without warning and kept her belongings, violating tenant rights and causing her to lose valuable items. The judge asked if she had any evidence. She provided printouts of some texts between us, mostly me asking where she was or saying we needed to talk. Out of context, I guess they could look controlling. She also had some photos of her stuff still in my apartment, which she must have taken before she left. Then it was our turn. Laura stood up and calmly walked through the timeline. Showed the court the fake hospital photo, the stock image source, the GPS metadata, and Grant's social media post proving where she'd actually been. Explained that she'd fabricated an emergency and blamed me when I discovered the truth. For the privacy argument, Laura pointed out that location data in text messages is automatically embedded by the device, and that simply viewing publicly available information isn't illegal. She also noted that if someone sends you a photo claiming to be in a hospital, attempting to verify their safety isn't harassment. Regarding the lockout claim, Laura presented the lease with only my name on it, proof of all rent and utility payments coming from my account, and the ring footage of Lydia voluntarily leaving with multiple bags. Then she showed the police report from the break-in attempt and the warning Lydia received for trespassing. The judge stopped her there, asked Lydia directly, "Did you move out voluntarily on this date?" pointing to the timestamp on the video. Lydia hesitated. "Yes, but I didn't take everything. Did you coordinate with Mr. Carter about returning for remaining items? He changed the locks after you'd already moved out." "Well, yes, but," the judge cut her off. "So you left voluntarily, taking most of your belongings, and he secured his property afterward. What exactly was wrongfully retained?" Lydia started crying. "Said she'd left some things behind thinking she'd be back, that she'd tried to get them but couldn't get in, that I was being vindictive." Laura pulled out text messages I'd sent to Mrs. Hart offering to box up remaining items for pickup and coordinate a time through her parents. Mrs. Hart had confirmed receipt of those texts and that they were working on arranging it. This was dated before the break-in attempt. The judge looked at Lydia for a long moment. Then he said something I'll never forget. "Ms. Hart, you didn't lose property. You abandoned it. Mr. Carter has offered to return it. You responded by attempting to enter his residence without permission and filing multiple false complaints against him. I'm dismissing this case in its entirety." He continued, "Furthermore, I'm granting a no-contact order. Ms. Hart, you are not to contact Mr. Carter directly or indirectly, including through third parties, social media, or any other means for a period of 2 years. Any violations will result in contempt charges. Do you understand?" Lydia just stared at him. Her dad put a hand on her shoulder. She nodded. We walked out into the hallway. Laura looked pleased but not celebratory. She said judges don't usually issue no-contact orders in small claims unless they see a pattern of harassment. She advised me to keep documenting anything that happens and call the police immediately if Lydia violates the order. I drove home feeling weird. Not happy exactly, more just flat, empty. This person I'd cared about, built a life with for almost a year, had turned into someone I needed a court order to keep away from me. How does that even happen? Later that evening, Mrs. Hart texted me, said she was in the courtroom and heard everything, apologized again for what her daughter had put me through, said Lydia was moving back home with them permanently and starting therapy. Mr. Hart had apparently put his foot down after the court hearing. I thanked her for letting me know and for being reasonable throughout this whole mess. Told her I'd have Lydia's remaining things ready for pickup this weekend. She appreciated that. So that's where things stand. No contact order in place. Lydia's in therapy living with her parents. Grant's job hunting. I'm finally able to breathe without checking over my shoulder. But I'm also installing motion sensors in the hallway this weekend anyway. And I'm keeping that evidence folder updated and backed up, just in case. Laura said the no-contact order is only good for 2 years, and some people wait it out just to start up again. I hope Lydia gets the help she needs. I really do. But I'm not waiting around to find out if therapy works. I'm moving forward with my life and leaving all this in the past where it belongs. Edit. For everyone asking about the remaining items, I boxed everything up, took photos of each box and its contents, and her dad picked them up yesterday morning. Had Owen present as a witness. Everything went smoothly, and I have confirmation in writing that she received all her belongings. That chapter is officially closed. Final update. Last post, I promise. I know some of you asked for an update on how things shook out, so here it is. It's been about 3 weeks since the court hearing and the no-contact order. Life is starting to feel normal again, though I'm still getting used to not being on edge all the time. The first week after court was quiet. Too quiet, honestly. I kept expecting something else to happen, another false accusation, her showing up somewhere, something. But there was nothing. Her dad picked up the last of her things like I mentioned, and that was it. No drama, no surprises, just done. Work has been good. Really good, actually. A few weeks after the HR investigation wrapped up, my manager pulled me aside to say she'd been impressed with how I handled everything. I stayed professional, provided clear documentation, didn't let it affect my projects or team responsibilities. Last week I found out I'm getting promoted to senior project manager starting next month. The timing might be coincidental, but my manager specifically mentioned that my ability to manage high-stress situations and keep detailed records showed leadership qualities they were looking for. I'm not going to pretend the promotion makes up for everything I went through, but it's a nice reminder that when you handle your business properly, people notice. I finished upgrading the apartment security, got the motion sensors installed, added a camera in the hallway, cleared it with Owen first, and set up a smart lighting system that makes it obvious when someone's home. Maybe it's overkill, but it helps me sleep better at night. The first few nights after the court hearing, I kept waking up at every little sound. Now I can check the app if I hear anything and know immediately if it's worth worrying about. Through Mrs. Hart, I heard that Lydia's been going to therapy twice a week and apparently taking it seriously. She's on medication for anxiety and is working part-time at a design studio her mom's friend owns. From what Mrs. Hart says, she's slowly starting to understand how badly she messed up, though she's not ready to take full responsibility yet. That's not my problem to fix anymore. Grant's situation is interesting. He did lose his job, but word travels fast in Portland's tech scene. I heard he's been having trouble finding new work because people keep asking why he left his last place after only 6 months. He's not blacklisted or anything, but reputation matters in our industry. I didn't cause any of that, he did it to himself, but I'd be lying if I said I don't feel a little vindicated. I started seeing someone new about 2 weeks ago. Nothing serious yet, just coffee dates and casual hangouts. Her name's Michelle, she works in urban planning, and she has no connection to any of this mess. We met at a bookstore, actually both reaching for the same architecture book at the same time, which sounds like something out of a movie, but I swear it happened. We ended up talking for almost an hour about city design and green spaces, and I realized halfway through that I was genuinely laughing for the first time in weeks. She's direct in a way I really appreciate, says what she means what she says, no games or tests. When I told her on the second date about what I'd gone through, I was nervous she'd think I was damaged goods or bringing too much baggage. Instead, she asked good questions, didn't judge, and said something I really needed to hear. Sounds like you handled it exactly right. People who document their reality aren't paranoid, they're smart. We're taking things slow, which is exactly what I need right now. The biggest thing I'm dealing with is trust. I catch myself sometimes looking for red flags that aren't there, or wanting to verify things that don't need verification. On one date, Michelle mentioned she was tired because she'd had a long day, and I found myself fighting the urge to ask for details or proof. That's not healthy, and I know it. I've started seeing a therapist myself to work through it. Can't let what Lydia did mess up future relationships. I went through all our old text conversations last week, the ones I'd saved for evidence, and finally deleted them. Kept the legal documents and footage in case I ever need them, but got rid of the emotional stuff. No point dwelling on what was said or how things used to be. That version of both of us doesn't exist anymore. I'm doing okay now. Better than okay, actually. I like my job, I'm dating again, I'm sleeping through the night, and I'm not constantly looking over my shoulder. The no-contact order expires in 2 years, but honestly I don't think Lydia will reach out after that. From what I hear, she's embarrassed about the whole thing and just wants to move on with her life. Good for her. I hope she gets better. I hope she learns from this. But that's her journey, not mine. Mine is waking up every day in an apartment that feels safe, going to work without worrying about false accusations, and slowly building a life with people who don't need to test whether I care about them. That's the real ending. Not dramatic, not explosive, just peaceful. And after everything, peaceful is pretty damn good. Thanks for following along with this mess. I've read every comment on every post, and honestly, you all helped me see how not normal this situation was. Sometimes you need strangers on the internet to tell you you're not crazy. So thanks for that. I'm out. Story 5. My girlfriend just informed me she's draining our shared savings for her ex. I transferred my half and booked a one-way flight to Norway. I'm writing this from an airport lounge and I still can't quite believe I'm doing this. But here we are. I'm a software architect, been with my girlfriend Chloe for 3 years, living together for 2. I'm the kind of guy who color codes his budget spreadsheets and has a 5-year plan. Chloe works in event planning. She's spontaneous, creative, lives in the moment. Opposites attract, right? When we moved in together, we decided to open a joint savings account we called the Future Fund. The idea was simple. We'd both contribute regularly, and eventually we'd have enough for a down payment on a house or maybe start a small investment portfolio. Over 2 years, we saved $18,000. I put in $10K, she put in $8K. We had spreadsheets tracking every deposit, talked about our dreams, looked at houses online together. But there's always been this third person in our relationship, Jax. Jax is Chloe's ex-boyfriend from college. He's a musician, and I use that term loosely because mostly he just plays dive bars twice a month and couch surfs. The guy is 30 years old and has never held a steady job. Every few months there's some crisis. His car got impounded. His roommate kicked him out. His guitar got stolen. And every single time Chloe would jump to help him. Look, I tried to be understanding. I really did. The first few times I told myself Chloe was just a caring person with a big heart. But it started adding up. She'd lend him $200 here, $500 there. She'd let him crash on our couch for a few days that would turn into 2 weeks. Once she covered his rent because he promised to pay her back. Spoiler alert, he never did. I'd bring it up carefully. Babe, I'm worried Jax is taking advantage of your kindness. Her whole body would tense up. You don't understand our history, Ethan. He was there for me when I had nobody. I get that, but he's 30 years old and you're basically funding he's like family to me. You wouldn't turn your back on family, would you? This is different. He's not actually family, and he never pays you back. He would do the same for me if I needed it. Her voice would get that edge to it, the one that said the conversation was over. Why are you being like this? I thought you were different from guys who get all jealous and controlling. And there it was, the word that always made me back off. Controlling. I didn't want to be that guy, so I'd drop it. Every single time. But I made one thing crystal clear. The future fund was off limits. That money represented our shared goals, our future together. It wasn't an emergency fund for her perpetually drowning ex-boyfriend. She agreed. We even had a conversation about it 6 months ago where she promised the future fund was sacred. So imagine my surprise when, right in the middle of debugging a critical production issue today, I get this text. Jax got picked up for some insurance thing with his car. I need to post $9,000 bail right now or he'll be stuck there over the weekend. I'm using the future fund. I know you'll understand he really needs me. We'll explain everything later. I read it 3 times. Then I called her, straight to voicemail. I texted back, we need to talk about this first. Nothing. I called again. Voicemail. That's when it hit me, this wasn't a request. This was a notification. She'd already decided. I sat there at my desk for maybe 10 minutes, feeling this weird calm wash over me. It was like watching pieces fall into place. All the times I'd compromised, all the times I'd been understanding, all the times I'd moved my boundaries just a little bit more. And here was the line I'd drawn, the one thing I'd asked her to respect, and she just stepped right over it. I logged into our bank account. The money was still there, she hadn't transferred it yet. I moved $10,000 to my personal account, every cent I'd contributed. Then I opened another tab and booked a one-way ticket to Oslo, Norway, departing in 6 hours. I'd always wanted to see the Northern Lights, and honestly, the symbolism of a one-way ticket felt right. I sent her one text back. Done. You're free. Then I went home, threw some clothes in a backpack, grabbed my passport and left. On my way to the airport, I made one more move. I called a service I'd researched months ago. Yeah, I'd been mentally preparing for something like this, even if I didn't want to admit it. a concierge company that handles exactly these kinds of situations. I authorized them to change our apartment locks, document and pack all of Chloe's belongings with video evidence, and move everything to a storage unit I'd rent in her name. I'd email her the details once I landed. My phone started blowing up around the time I cleared security. 17 missed calls, 43 texts. I haven't read most of them, but the preview bubbles tell the story. Confusion, then anger, then panic when she realized what I'd done, then fury when she found out about the locks. I'm not trying to be vindictive. I'm just protecting what's mine and establishing that I'm done being Plan B while Jax remains her priority. She made her choice the moment she sent that text without asking. She chose him, so I'm choosing me. The boarding call just went out for Oslo. I should feel guilty or conflicted, but honestly, I feel lighter than I have in years. Am I overreacting? Maybe, but I don't think so. Edit. Holy hell, this got way more attention than I expected. I'm literally sitting on the plane now, thank you airport Wi-Fi. Some quick answers. Yes, I'm really going to Norway. Yes, I really transferred only my portion. That 10K was my money that I contributed. Yes, the concierge service is a real thing, and yes, it's perfectly legal when you're the leaseholder. I'll update when I figure out what happens next, but right now I'm just watching them close the cabin door and feeling like I can finally breathe. Update 1. Hey everyone. It's been 4 days since I posted from the Oslo airport, and holy shit, things have escalated fast. I'm still in Norway, currently in Bergen. It's stunning here, by the way, but I need to share what's been happening because I honestly can't believe this is my life right now. First off, thank you for all the support on my original post. A lot of you called exactly what would happen, and you were right. But some of the stuff that's come out, even I didn't see coming. So let me rewind to when I landed in Oslo. I'd turned my phone to airplane mode during the flight, and when I finally turned it back on, I had 89 notifications. Most were from Chloe, but there were also messages from her mom, her sister, and 3 from a number I didn't recognize. Chloe's messages were a journey. Started with "Where did you go?" evolved into "You can't just steal our money," and eventually landed on "My lawyer says what you did is illegal and you're going to regret this." Her mom left me a voice message calling me a thief and a coward. Her sister sent a more measured text saying I should do the right thing and return the money. The unknown number, that was Chloe's lawyer. I'm not going to lie, seeing that made my stomach drop. I'd been so focused on getting out that I hadn't thought through legal implications. I called a lawyer friend from college who practices family law. His response: "You're fine. It's a civil matter at worst. You have documentation proving your contributions. She'd have to prove you took her money, which you didn't." That settled my nerves somewhat. I sent one email to Chloe with the storage unit information and proof of the concierge service's credentials. I kept it brief. "Your belongings are secure and accessible at address. All items were documented with video evidence during packing. The first month is paid. You have your money in the account. We're done." Then I blocked her number and her family's numbers. If her lawyer wanted to reach me, they could email. Here's where it gets interesting. 2 days after I landed, I get an email from the lawyer. Professional, almost bored sounding. The gist: Chloe is demanding I return to the States immediately to resolve this matter and return $12,000, the 10K I took, plus $2,000 for the emotional distress and financial hardship I caused. I forwarded it to my lawyer friend. He actually laughed, told me to ignore it unless they actually file something. But that email got me thinking. Something wasn't adding up. I couldn't let it go. So I logged into our shared Dropbox account. She'd never changed the password, and looked through recent uploads. There it was, a lease agreement for a studio apartment. Tenant, Jax Morrison. Co-signer, Chloe Reynolds. Lease start date, the exact day she texted me about bail. Security deposit and first month's rent, $2,500. There was also an email chain between Chloe and Jax from 3 days before the bail incident. In it, Jax was freaking out about finally finding an affordable place but needing to move fast before someone else grabbed it. Chloe responded, "Don't worry baby, I'll figure out the money. Ethan will understand once I explain. Baby. There was no bail. There was no insurance issue. Jax wasn't arrested or picked up for anything. She straight up lied to me to funnel our shared savings money we'd earmarked for our future into getting her ex-boyfriend a new apartment. I sat in my hostel room in Oslo for about an hour just staring at my laptop screen. Part of me was furious. Part of me was vindicated. But mostly, I felt this strange sense of relief, because now I knew for absolute certain that leaving was the right call. I took screenshots of everything, the lease, the emails, the text messages, and sent them to my lawyer friend with a note. For if things escalate, they escalated. I'm cutting my Norway trip short. I'm flying back in 3 days. I've got the Bergen to Oslo train booked for tomorrow, then a flight back home the day after. But before I left, I did one more thing. I sent a single email to Chloe's lawyer, not responding to the lawsuit directly, just a courtesy FYI. I attached the screenshots of the lease agreement and email chain with one line of context. Thought you should know what the $9,000 was actually for. I have more documentation if needed. I haven't heard back yet. People have been asking in the comments if I'm okay, and honestly, yeah, I am. I'm pissed off about the lawsuit and the lies, but I'm also sleeping better than I have in months. I spent the last few days hiking in the Norwegian mountains, eating brown cheese on waffles, and watching the fjords from train windows. I didn't think about Chloe or Jax or the future fund for hours at a time. That's how I know I made the right choice. Because even with all this chaos, I feel more at peace than I ever did trying to make that relationship work. I'll update again once I'm back and deal with the legal stuff. My lawyer says it's going to be a straightforward case, but we'll see. At least I've got all the receipts literally. Edit. A few people asked if Jax actually got the apartment. From what I could see in the Dropbox, the lease was signed, but I have no idea if he came up with the money without my contribution. Not really my problem anymore. Update 2: I'm back in the States, and the last 2 weeks have been absolutely wild. The lawsuit is moving forward. There's been some serious fallout in Chloe's life, and I've learned even more about just how deep the deception went. Buckle up, because this is a long one. So I flew back from Norway, met with my lawyer, and we started preparing for the court date. In these small claims cases, there's a pretty informal discovery process. Basically, both sides have to exchange the evidence they plan to present. My lawyer filed our response to Chloe's complaint and included a request for her financial records related to the future fund and any communications regarding the money. Chloe's lawyer tried to fight the communications request, arguing it was overly broad and invasive. The judge wasn't having it. Since Chloe's entire case was based on claiming financial abuse and theft, the context of why I took the money was absolutely relevant. That's when things started unraveling for her. Her lawyer received my evidence package first. The lease agreement showing Jax's new apartment with the timing that proved there was no bail situation. The email chain where she called him baby and promised to figure out the money. The full accounting of every dollar I'd contributed to the future fund, with bank statements going back 2 years. Screenshots of our text conversation where she told me she was using the money, not asked, told. According to my lawyer, there was a very tense phone call between Chloe and her attorney after that. From what I understand, she told him a very different story, that I'd always been controlling about money, that the future fund was more her idea and her contributions, that I'd stolen the money in a fit of rage with no warning. When her lawyer saw the actual evidence, he apparently advised her to drop the case immediately. She refused. But here's where it gets messy. We'd also subpoenaed records from her bank account to verify her contributions to the future fund. What came back was interesting. Remember how I said she'd contributed $8,000? Well, that was true, technically. But what I didn't know was that she'd also made several large withdrawals from the account over the past year. $500 here, $800 there. Each withdrawal was noted as emergency or temporary loan in our shared tracking spreadsheet, with promises to pay it back soon. I'd noticed them at the time, but she always had explanations. Her car needed repairs. Her mom needed help with medical bills. A friend's wedding required a last-minute flight. I trusted her. Turns out, every single one of those emergencies was actually money going to Jax. In total, she'd taken out about $3,200 from our joint savings for him. So her actual net contribution to the fund, around $4,800, less than half of what I'd put in. My lawyer was thrilled. This meant she'd not only lied about the bail situation, but she'd been systematically redirecting our shared savings to her ex for months while lying to me about why. But wait, there's more. About a week ago, Chloe lost her job. I found out through a mutual friend who still talks to me. Apparently it wasn't directly related to our situation, but kind of. She'd been handling the drama so poorly at work, taking personal calls during client meetings, apparently crying in the bathroom multiple times a day, showing up late because she was dealing with the lawsuit stuff. Her boss pulled her aside to talk about her performance, and Chloe apparently went off about how she was dealing with her ex-boyfriend stealing money from her, and could they please be more understanding. The boss, not knowing any context, looked into it and discovered Chloe had been using company resources, computer, work time, even the office printer to manage her personal legal case. That was the final straw. They let her go for misuse of company resources and poor performance. She tried to claim it was retaliation for taking personal time, but she's an at-will employee and they documented everything. I feel bad about that, actually. I never wanted her to lose her job, but I also can't ignore that she did this to herself by letting it consume her work life. The family situation is messy too. Her mom and sister initially rallied around her, but once the evidence of the Jax situation came out, things shifted. Her mom apparently hit the roof when she found out Chloe had been funneling money to an ex-boyfriend instead of building a future with me. From what I heard, there was a huge fight where her mom demanded to know if Chloe had been cheating on me with Jax. I don't actually know the answer to that question, and honestly, I don't care anymore. Emotionally cheating, definitely. Physically, maybe. Doesn't matter at this point. Her sister reached out to me through a mutual friend, apologizing for the initial messages and saying she didn't know the full story. I appreciated that, but I didn't respond. I'm not interested in getting pulled back into that family's drama. The court date is set for 2 weeks from now. My lawyer is confident we'll win, possibly with her case being dismissed before we even get to present our side. Apparently the judge has already reviewed the evidence packages, and during a pre-trial conference call, he asked Chloe's lawyer some pointed questions about how his client planned to prove theft when the defendant only withdrew his own contributions. Chloe's lawyer apparently requested a continuation to discuss settlement options with his client. My lawyer said absolutely not, we're going to trial. We want this on the record. I'm not trying to bury her. I just want it documented that I did nothing wrong, that I had every right to protect my own money when she violated our agreement, that her lawsuit is baseless and born out of anger, not legitimate grievance. Meanwhile, I've been putting my life back together. I'm staying with a friend right now since my lease on the old apartment is month to month and I don't want to renew it. Too many memories. I've been looking at new places, thinking maybe I'll get a smaller one-bedroom somewhere with a view. I don't need much space, just somewhere that feels like mine. Work has been good. Understanding, even. I told my boss a vague version of what happened. Relationship ended badly, dealing with some legal stuff. And he gave me flexible hours to handle the court prep. I've been throwing myself into a new project, and honestly, it feels good to focus on something I can control. That's what I'd forgotten. Relationships shouldn't be this hard. They shouldn't require constant boundary negotiations and crisis management. They shouldn't leave you feeling anxious about your bank account. I don't regret the 3 years I spent with Chloe. I learned a lot about myself, about what I will and won't tolerate, about the importance of following through on boundaries. But I'm also grateful it ended before we bought a house or got married or had kids. Clean break, relatively speaking. Edit. Someone asked about Jax and whether he's still with Chloe. I genuinely don't know and haven't looked into it. My mutual friends don't really run in those circles. But if I had to guess, I'd say probably not. Guys like Jax tend to disappear once the money dries up. But that's just speculation. Final update. Hey everyone. Final update here, and honestly, I'm ready to close this chapter and move on. But I figured I owed you all the resolution since you've been following along. The court date was last Tuesday. If you've never been to small claims court, it's way less dramatic than TV makes it seem. We showed up, sat in a room with about 15 other cases, and waited for our turn. Chloe was there with her lawyer, looking tired and avoiding eye contact. I was there with mine, feeling surprisingly calm. When the judge called our case, both lawyers approached the bench. Chloe's attorney asked for one final opportunity to settle. My lawyer said we'd be open to hearing terms. Chloe's lawyer offered that I return $5,000 and both parties walk away, no admission of fault from either side. My lawyer looked at me. I shook my head. No. The judge asked if we were proceeding to hearing. My lawyer said yes, and that's when the whole thing just collapsed. The judge had clearly reviewed all the evidence beforehand. He asked Chloe's lawyer directly, "Counselor, your client is alleging theft of joint funds. Can you point me to any evidence that the defendant took more than his documented contribution?" Silence. "And regarding the emotional distress claim, do you have any evidence that the defendant's actions were not a reasonable response to your client unilaterally deciding to use joint funds for purposes outside their agreed scope?" More silence. The judge turned to Chloe. "Ma'am, did you or did you not tell Mr. my last name that you were taking $9,000 from your joint savings to bail out your ex-boyfriend?" Chloe tried to explain about how Jax needed help, how I'd always been controlling about money, how she thought I'd understand. The judge cut her off. "That's not what I asked. Did you inform him or did you ask his permission?" I told him." "And was the money actually for bail as you stated in your text message?" She didn't answer right away. Her lawyer touched her arm and whispered something. Finally, she said, "No, it was for an apartment." The judge looked down at his papers, then back up. "Ms. Chloe's last name, you've wasted this court's time. The evidence shows the defendant withdrew only his documented contributions after you unilaterally violated your agreement." Case dismissed. He dismissed the case in under 10 minutes. No damages, no fees awarded to either party, just complete dismissal. Chloe's lawyer looked relieved to be done with it. Chloe looked devastated. I didn't stick around to talk. My lawyer and I walked out, shook hands in the parking lot, and that was it. He said I'd received documentation of the dismissal for my records. I thanked him for everything and went home. That evening, I got one final text from a number I didn't recognize. It was Chloe, from a new phone number I hadn't blocked. Just, "I'm sorry. I know you won't forgive me, but I need you to know I'm sorry." I thought about responding, thought about saying something gracious or final or cutting. In the end, I just deleted it and blocked the new number too. Some bridges aren't worth rebuilding, even for closure. Through mutual friends, the ones who stayed neutral, I heard bits and pieces about what happened after. Chloe moved back in with her mom temporarily while job hunting. The apartment hunt isn't going well without employment verification. Jax apparently lasted about 3 weeks in that studio before bailing on the lease, shocker, leaving Chloe on the hook as cosigner. She's dealing with collections calls now. I also heard she tried to get her job back, sent a long apology email to her former boss about going through a difficult time. They didn't respond. She's been applying around the city, but apparently our industry is smaller than she realized. Word gets around about why people leave companies. The hardest part for her seems to be the family situation. Her mom is still furious about the Jax situation and has been pushing her to get therapy and figure out why you sabotage good things. Her sister is supportive but exhausted. I get the sense Chloe's starting to realize what she threw away, but that's not my problem to solve anymore. So where does that leave me? I'm in a new apartment now, 1 bedroom, top floor, huge windows. Got a new couch, better desk setup, some plants. It feels like mine. Work is going well. I'm up for a promotion next cycle. I've been on a few dates, nothing serious yet, but I'm enjoying being single. Making plans without checking with someone first, spending money without justifying it's nice. And about that $10,000 I'm using it for a 3-month trip to Southeast Asia. Vietnam, Thailand, Cambodia. Working remotely for part of it, exploring the rest. This time I'm buying a round-trip ticket. That one-way flight to Oslo was running away. This is running towards something. A few people have asked if I'm angry at Chloe or if I regret the relationship. Not anymore. I see it as an expensive lesson in boundaries and self-respect. The time we spent together taught me exactly what I don't want next time. Someone who sees shared resources as sacred, who asks instead of tells, who chooses me the way I choose them. Someone in my original post said, "Sometimes the trash takes itself out." They were right. Chloe showed me exactly who she was and I listened. I just left. Best decision I ever made. Thanks for following along, Reddit. Your support meant more than you know. I'm signing off to finish planning this trip and packing up my old life for good. Edit. Starting in Hanoi, working south through Vietnam, then Siem Reap, Bangkok, and the Thai Islands. 3 months. If you have recommendations, DMs are open. Story 6. My girlfriend just texted me during a meeting that she pawned my dead father's watch to make her student loan payment. I'm sitting here trying not to lose it in front of my entire operations team. I'm using a throwaway because people at work know my main account, and this is about to get messy. I'm Liam, operations manager at a logistics company in Seattle. My girlfriend Sabrina moved into my condo about 8 months ago after she got laid off from her marketing job. The plan was temporary. She'd save money on rent, find new work, and we'd figure out next steps. She's been looking, but the market's tough and she's got about $60,000 in student loan debt that's been crushing her. Here's the relevant background. Sabrina doesn't have her own credit card. Her credit's pretty shot from some late payments a few years back, so when she needed to set up utilities and order groceries online, I added her as an authorized user on one of my cards. Small limit, $800 just for household stuff. I figured it was the practical thing to do since she was contributing to groceries and trying to get back on her feet. Now, about the watch. My dad passed away 4 years ago from pancreatic cancer. He wore the same Tag Heuer for 40 years, bought it in 1970 when he made partner at his firm. It's not some flashy piece, just a simple steel automatic with a worn leather strap. He wore it every single day. Every family photo, every holiday, every time he taught me to change a tire or helped me move into my first apartment, that watch was on his wrist. When he died, my mom gave it to me. It's worth maybe $12,000 if you sold it, but to me, it's the only thing I have that feels like he's still around. I kept it in a watch case in my closet. Sabrina knew what it was. I'd told her the whole story, shown her pictures of my dad wearing it. She'd seen me take it out on his birthday and just hold it for a while. She knew. Thursday morning, I'm in a quarterly review meeting with my director and the Seattle regional team. My phone buzzes. I glance down and see a text from Sabrina. "Hey, just letting you know I pawned that old watch for my loan payment. You make good money, you'll get another one." I actually had to read it 3 times. My director asked if I was okay because apparently I went completely pale. I excused myself, went to the bathroom, and just stared at the message. I didn't call her. I didn't text back anything emotional. I just wrote, "Thanks for letting me know." Then I called the Seattle police non-emergency line. I filed a stolen property report. Gave them everything, the text message, photos of my dad wearing the watch, the approximate value when I'd last seen it. The officer I spoke with was sympathetic but direct. If Sabrina took it without permission and pawned it, that's theft. The fact that she lives with me doesn't give her ownership rights. The fact that we're dating doesn't give her ownership rights. Within 2 hours, they'd located the pawn shop in Ballard. Sabrina had signed paperwork with her real ID claiming the watch was hers. She got $3,400 for it. The shop, once notified by police, had to surrender it as evidence. They can't sell it, can't give it back to her, and they're out the money unless she's convicted and they can pursue restitution. Here's where it gets complicated. The officer handling my case is this older guy, maybe late 50s, and he asked me a few questions about Sabrina's family situation. Turns out her mom, Carolyn, is having a birthday dinner this Saturday. Sabrina had mentioned it to me last week. Big family thing at an Italian place near Green Lake. Both her parents, her older brother Miles, her sister Tara. The officer suggested something I didn't expect. If you want, we can serve the arrest warrant there. Public, family present, makes it real clear this isn't just some relationship squabble you'll smooth over in a week. I've never been a vindictive person. I'm the guy who returns extra change at the grocery store. But sitting in my car in the parking garage after that meeting, looking at that text again, you'll get another one, something just snapped. She didn't apologize, she didn't ask. She just informed me that she'd sold the last piece of my father I had left like it was a transaction. I told the officer yes. So now I'm sitting here on Thursday night. Sabrina came home around 6 p.m., acted completely normal, asked what I wanted for dinner. I just said I wasn't hungry and went to my home office. She hasn't mentioned the watch. She hasn't asked if I'm upset. I don't think it's even occurred to her that what she did was wrong. The arrest is set for Saturday at 7 p.m., right in the middle of her mom's birthday dinner. I know how this sounds. I know people are going to say I'm overreacting, that it's just a watch, that I'm ruining her life over a mistake. But here's the thing, she knew. She knew what it meant. And she did it anyway, then texted me like she was letting me know she'd stopped at the store. I haven't told anyone yet. Not my mom, not my friends. Part of me keeps thinking I should call it off, just get the watch back and break up quietly. But another part of me, the part that keeps looking at that text message, thinks maybe someone who does something like this needs to face real consequences. Am I wrong here? Is this too far? Edit. I'm reading all the comments. To clarify a few things people are asking. Yes, I have proof the watch was my father's, photos spanning 40 years, old warranty card with his name. No, we're not married, not engaged. She has no legal claim to anything in my condo, the pawn shop confirmed. She presented ID and signed documents stating the watch was her property. That's fraud. I'm not trying to ruin her life. But she committed a crime, and I'm letting the justice system handle it. Several people asked if she's done stuff like this before. Honestly, looking back, there have been small things, using my Amazon account without asking, taking cash from my wallet and saying she'd pay it back but never did. But nothing like this. Thanks for listening, Reddit. I'll update after Saturday if people want to know what happens. Update 1, it's Sunday afternoon, and I'm still processing what happened last night. Thanks to everyone who commented. Some of you called me vindictive, some said I was justified, but almost everyone said I should see it through. I did. Friday was surreal. I went to work like normal. Sabrina texted me twice asking if I wanted to grab dinner before her mom's party on Saturday, completely oblivious. I just said I had a work thing. That evening she was on the couch watching TV, painting her nails, laughing at some reality show. I stayed in my office and kept thinking about my dad's watch sitting in an evidence locker somewhere. Saturday came. Sabrina spent the afternoon getting ready, doing her makeup, asking if her dress looked okay. I told her I had a family thing of my own and would try to meet her there later. She seemed fine with that. After she left, I sat in my condo for 20 minutes just staring at my phone. The restaurant was Bella Vita, this nice Italian place near Green Lake. I showed up a bit early. The officer I'd been working with, Detective Morrison, had coordinated with 2 uniformed officers to arrive shortly after me. I walked in, saw the family already seated at a long table near the back. Sabrina's mom Carolyn at the head, her dad Victor next to her, then Miles, Tara, Sabrina, and a couple of cousins I'd met once or twice. Sabrina saw me and waved, all smiles. "Hey, you made it, I saved you a seat." I walked over, but I didn't sit down. Everyone was looking at me, confused. Carolyn said something like, "Liam, honey, you look stressed. Sit, have some wine." I put my phone on the table and pulled up the text message, turned it so everyone could see. "I need to show you all something. Thursday morning, Sabrina sent me this." I watched Sabrina's face change as she realized what I was doing. Miles leaned over to read it. Tara's mouth actually fell open. Victor closed his eyes. Carolyn said, "What is this?" "Liam, this is my birthday dinner. She stole my late father's watch and pawned it," I said. My voice was steady. "I'd practiced this. Not borrowed. Stole. Took it from my closet, took it to a pawn shop in Ballard, signed legal documents claiming it was hers, and got $3,400 for it." Sabrina finally spoke up. "Oh my God, you're seriously doing this here. It's just a watch. Stop being so dramatic. Just a watch." I pulled out printed copies of the pawn receipt the police had given me, handed them to Victor. "Your daughter committed fraud. She signed paperwork stating she owned property that wasn't hers. That's a crime." Miles was reading the receipt. He looked at Sabrina. "What the hell, Brina?" Carolyn immediately went into defense mode. "She was just trying to pay her student loans. She made a mistake. Liam, you make good money. You can't just let this go." That's when Tara, quiet, sensible Tara, said, "Mom, she stole from him, from his dead father's memory." "What are you even talking about right now?" The table devolved into chaos. Victor just sat there with his head in his hands. Sabrina kept trying to spin it, saying I'd given her permission to use my stuff since she lived with me, that I was clearly overreacting because we were fighting about something else. Carolyn was crying. Miles and Tara were arguing with their mom. Then Detective Morrison walked in with the two uniformed officers. The restaurant got very, very quiet. Morrison approached the table. "Sabrina Chen," she looked at him, then at me, then back at him. "Yes. You're under arrest for grand theft and fraudulent misrepresentation. Please stand up and turn around." I will never forget the look on her face. It went from confusion to disbelief to pure panic in about 3 seconds. Carolyn started screaming, "You can't do this. It's my birthday." "Liam, tell them to stop." Victor stood up and gently pulled his wife back. He looked at me and I saw something like resignation in his eyes. He knew. Maybe he'd always known what kind of person his daughter was. They read Sabrina her rights, cuffed her, and walked her out through the restaurant. Every table watched. Someone was definitely filming. Sabrina was crying, saying she didn't do anything wrong. This was insane. I was ruining her life over nothing. Miles walked out with me afterward. We stood in the parking lot and he just said, "Man, I'm sorry. I knew she was irresponsible, but I didn't think she'd do something like this." I drove home, changed all the locks on my condo, and poured myself a very large whiskey. Sunday morning, I started going through my credit card statements. Remember how I said I'd added her as an authorized user with an $800 limit for groceries and household stuff? Yeah. She'd been using the card number to make online purchases and putting in my address for shipping. Over the past 6 weeks, $900 worth of clothes from Nordstrom, $650 in makeup and skincare from Sephora, $1,200 on some kind of self-help course, another $800 on Uber Eats orders I definitely didn't authorize. And last week, a $950 pair of boots, total about $4,500, all shipped to my condo, all while I was at work. I'd been wondering why packages kept showing up. She'd been intercepting them. I called Detective Morrison. He sighed and said, "Add it to the report. That's credit card fraud." So now we're looking at 2 separate criminal charges. The preliminary hearing is in 3 weeks. Sabrina made bail this morning. Her parents posted it. She called me 17 times. I didn't answer. Then she started texting, "I can't believe you did this to me. You ruined my life. I'll never get a job now. My mom is devastated. I was going to pay you back. You're a freaking psycho." I forwarded everything to Detective Morrison and blocked her number. My mom called after I finally told her what happened. She just said, "Your father would be proud of you for standing up for yourself." Then she cried for 20 minutes because she's been missing him a lot lately and the thought of that watch being gone had hurt her too. The watch is still in evidence, but Morrison said once the case is resolved, it'll be returned to me. Could be months. I don't feel good about any of this. I don't feel victorious. I feel tired. But every time I doubt myself, I think about that text message. You'll get another one. Some things can't be replaced. Edit. A lot of people are asking about Sabrina's family's reaction. Victor sent me a text this morning. "I'm sorry about what happened. You did what you had to do." Carolyn, on the other hand, left me a voicemail calling me vindictive and cruel. Miles and Tara both reached out separately to say they support me. The family's pretty fractured right now. Edit 2. Yes, I'm getting a lawyer for the civil side of things. The credit card fraud gives me additional grounds for restitution. People keep saying just sue her. I'm letting the criminal case play out first, then I'll decide on civil court. Update 2. The preliminary hearing was 3 weeks ago. Sabrina's bail was revoked 2 weeks ago after she got caught stealing from her new job. The trial just finished yesterday, and I need to write this all down while it's still fresh. Between the arrest and the hearing, Sabrina went scorched earth on social media, posted a long Facebook rant about how I had her arrested over a misunderstanding and was using the police to abuse her. Her friends started commenting on my Instagram, calling me controlling and vindictive. Someone from her college days made a TikTok about toxic men who weaponize the legal system. I didn't respond to any of it publicly. Instead, I called my company's HR department and gave them a heads up that an employee, me, was involved in an ongoing criminal case and there might be social media blowback. I forwarded them the police reports, the text message, everything. Our HR director reviewed it and told me the company supported me fully, and if anyone contacted them with accusations, they'd refer to the documented evidence. Then I posted one thing. A single Instagram story with the screenshot of Sabrina's text message and the pawn receipt with the caption, "Context matters." Tagged her in it. Deleted it after 24 hours, but the damage was done. The narrative flipped pretty fast when people saw she'd literally texted me about pawning my dead father's watch like it was nothing. At the preliminary hearing, Sabrina's public defender tried to argue this was a domestic misunderstanding between romantic partners, and that I'd given her general access to my belongings by letting her live with me. The prosecutor, this sharp woman in her 40s named Diane Chen, no relation to Sabrina, thankfully, shut that down immediately. She presented all the evidence, the text, the pawn documents, everything. Video footage from my condo's hallway camera showing Sabrina leaving with a small bag the morning she pawned it. My testimony about never giving permission. The judge, older guy, looked tired, barely deliberated. This isn't a case of unclear boundaries in a relationship. The defendant removed property she knew belonged to the plaintiff, fraudulently misrepresented ownership to a third party, and profited from the transaction. The state has sufficient evidence to proceed. Bind over for trial. Sabrina's bail conditions were straightforward. No contact with me, stay employed or actively seeking employment, check in weekly with pretrial services. She lasted 2 weeks. She got a job at a boutique retail store in Capitol Hill. I only know this because Detective Morrison called me one afternoon and said, "Your ex just got arrested again." Apparently, Sabrina had been pocketing cash from the register. Not a lot, $40 here, $60 there, but the manager noticed inventory wasn't matching up with sales. They checked the cameras and caught her straight up taking money from the drawer when she thought no one was looking. Store pressed charges. Sabrina was arrested at work. Her bail was revoked because theft while on pretrial release is a pretty big no-no. She's been in King County Jail ever since. That was 2 weeks ago. The trial was yesterday. I took the day off work. Sat in the gallery with my mom, who'd flown in from Phoenix because she wanted to be there when they talked about Dad's watch. Sabrina looked rough. Jail doesn't agree with anyone, but she'd lost weight and had this hollow look in her eyes. She wouldn't look at me during the entire proceeding. Her public defender did his best. Argued she'd been under financial stress, made a bad decision in a moment of panic, deeply regretted it. He tried to paint me as unforgiving and harsh for pressing charges instead of working it out privately. Diane Chen was surgical. She walked the jury through every element of the crime, showed them the text message, "You'll get another one," and let it sit there. Brought in the pawn shop owner, who testified that Sabrina had signed documents stating the watch was hers and showed no hesitation or uncertainty. Brought in an appraiser who valued the watch at $12,000. Diane Chen walked the jury through everything: the watch theft, the fraudulent pawn documents, the additional credit card charges, and the bail violation at her new job. Members of the jury, Diane said in her closing, this isn't a one-time mistake. This is a pattern of taking what doesn't belong to her, lying about it, and showing no remorse until she faces consequences. The jury deliberated for about 90 minutes, came back with guilty verdicts on both counts, grand theft and fraud. Sabrina started crying. Her public defender put his hand on her shoulder. Carolyn, sitting a few rows behind me, made this awful sound, half sob, half gasp. Sentencing happened this morning. 18 months in state prison, 3 years probation after release, full restitution of $12,000 for the watch plus $4,500 for the credit card fraud, plus court fees and the cost of the investigation. The judge was direct. Ms. Chen, you violated someone's trust in the most personal way possible, then compounded it with fraud, and demonstrated through your bail violation that you haven't learned anything. The court hopes you use this time to reflect seriously on your choices. Victor was there. Carolyn wasn't. I heard she'd had some kind of breakdown and was staying with her sister in Oregon. Miles and Tara sat on the opposite side of the courtroom from their dad. The family's completely fractured. Victor sent me a text afterward. Thank you for seeing this through. I'm sorry we didn't raise her better. I didn't know what to say to that, so I just liked the message. Detective Morrison told me the watch will be released from evidence within the next few weeks, once all the paperwork clears. He shook my hand and said, not many people follow through like this. Most just want to move on. Your dad would be proud. I'm sitting in my condo now, same place where this all started 11 weeks ago. The watch case is still in my closet, empty. I open it sometimes and just look at the indentation where the watch used to sit. I know some people think I went too far, that I should have just broken up with her and moved on. But every time I doubt myself, I think about that text message, the casual cruelty of it. You'll get another one. Some things can't be replaced, and some people need to learn that actions have consequences. Trial's over, she's serving time. I'm moving forward. Not sure there's much more to update after this, but I'll post once more when I get the watch back. That'll be the real end of this nightmare. Final update, finally, I got my dad's watch back. It's home. Detective Morrison called me on a Tuesday. Evidence release is approved. You can pick it up Thursday. I drove to the precinct, signed the forms, and they brought it out in a sealed evidence bag. I didn't open it until I got home. Sat on my couch, carefully cut the seal, and there it was. Same worn leather strap, same scratched crystal. I just held it for a while and cried. It felt like getting a piece of my dad back. I had it serviced the next day. The watchmaker wound it carefully, and we watched the second hand start sweeping. 40-year-old movement still keeps perfect time. Your father took care of this. I wear it now on important days. I started dating again 2 months ago. Met Claire at a board game night. She's a high school English teacher. On our third date, I told her everything. She said, that must have been incredibly hard. I'm glad you stood up for yourself. We're taking it slow. She's never asked to borrow money or hinted about moving in. It's refreshing to see what a healthy relationship looks like. Victor and Carolyn separated 4 months ago. Carolyn couldn't accept that Sabrina had done anything wrong and kept blaming me. Victor finally had enough and moved out. He and I have coffee occasionally. Miles and Tara have stayed in touch. Tara texted last month. You were family for 3 years. We don't blame you for what happened. Sabrina got out early after 11 months. 2 weeks later, Carolyn showed up at my condo demanding I give back her daughter's belongings. I told her through the door I'd donated everything. She stayed on my doorstep for 30 minutes, alternating between crying and screaming. Building security called the police. I filed for a restraining order the next morning. Here's the kicker. Sabrina reoffended last month. Got a receptionist job, stole a patient's credit card info, bought $1,200 worth of stuff online. Security footage caught her photographing the card. She was arrested again. Miles texted me. I don't know what's wrong with her. I don't know either, and it's not my problem anymore. My life now, promoted to senior operations manager, paid off my student loans, started rock climbing with Claire. The watch sits in its case on my dresser when I'm not wearing it. Some people show you who they are through their actions. Sabrina showed me she saw other people's treasured possessions as resources to exploit. I showed myself I wouldn't tolerate that even when it was hard. The watch is home. I'm moving forward. And I'm okay. Thanks for following this journey, Reddit. I'm logging off this throwaway account now. Time to close this chapter for good. Story 7. My girlfriend posted a viral video accusing me of abuse while I was 1,200 miles away at a work conference. I'm a cybersecurity engineer at a mid-sized tech company. My girlfriend Tessa was trying to become a full-time content creator. We'd been together 2 years, living together for 8 months. Things had been tense lately because she wanted me to financially support her while she quit her marketing job to focus on building her brand. I told her no. If she wanted to turn her passion into a career, she needed to do it like an adult, make a plan, build income gradually, not just quit and expect me to cover everything. She didn't take it well, told me I'd regret not believing in her. The last real conversation we had before everything happened was brutal. She cornered me in the kitchen. "You don't believe in me, you never have." I tried to stay calm. "That's not true, I believe you can do this. I just think you need a plan first. Build it while you're still working, then transition when you have consistent income. Other content creators' boyfriends support them. You're just trying to control me. I'm asking you to be responsible. There's a difference." She stared at me for a long moment, then said, "You're going to regret this. When I make it, you're going to wish you'd been on my side." 3 weeks ago, I flew to Denver for an international cybersecurity conference. It's one of the biggest events in my field. I'd been looking forward to it for months. The conference ran Monday through Thursday. I was presenting on Tuesday. Wednesday morning, I woke up to 47 missed calls. My phone was basically unusable from notifications. My company's HR director called me directly. "Elliot, we need you to come back immediately. There's been a serious allegation." I had no idea what she was talking about. Then she sent me the link. Tessa had posted a TikTok video. In it, she's crying, her face covered in bruises, dark purple marks on her cheek, a split lip, bruising around her eye. The caption: "When your boyfriend is a nice guy until you try to leave, please help me get out safely." The video was 7 hours old. It had 3 million views. I'm not exaggerating when I say my entire life collapsed in those 7 hours. My work email was flooded with messages calling me a monster. My LinkedIn got hundreds of comments demanding I be fired. Someone found my parents' address and phone number. My mom called me in tears because strangers were calling the house. I got death threats. Multiple people said they'd handle me when I got back home. The company suspended me immediately, paid pending investigation, but still. HR made it clear they were taking this extremely seriously. Here's what makes this completely insane. I wasn't even in the same state as her. I was in Denver. I had my flight confirmation, my conference badge, my hotel receipt. I was literally on camera giving a presentation when she posted that video. But none of that mattered to the internet mob. I flew home early Thursday morning, dreading what I'd find. When I got back to our apartment, Tessa wasn't there. She'd posted another video saying she was staying with friends for safety and had set up a GoFundMe for relocation costs and therapy. It had already raised $4,000. I walked through the apartment in a daze. Nothing seemed disturbed. No signs of a struggle, no broken items, nothing. I checked the bathroom. All her makeup was still there, along with some stage makeup I'd never seen before. That's when I remembered, we have security cameras. I installed them myself 6 months ago, one in the living room, one covering the front door, one in the hallway. All motion activated, all backed up to our home server. It's basic security protocol, something I'd recommended she have anyway for her safety. I pulled up the footage from Tuesday evening, about 4 hours before she posted that video, and I watched her sit in front of our bathroom mirror for 45 minutes applying makeup to her face. Purple and blue cream makeup, carefully blending it to look like bruises. She practiced expressions in the mirror, crying faces, scared faces. She took probably 30 takes of the video before she got one she liked. The footage was crystal clear. She'd even used my ring light, the one I bought her for content, to make sure the bruises showed up on camera. At one point, she checked a reference photo on her phone, then adjusted the makeup on her cheekbone to match. I just sat there staring at the screen, my hands shaking. She faked the whole thing. She completely fabricated an abuse story and weaponized it against me because I wouldn't bankroll her influencer dreams. I don't even know what to do now. My cousin Lawrence is a civil attorney, and he told me not to respond publicly yet, that we need to be strategic. But every hour I stay silent, more people believe her story. My Instagram is getting flooded with hate messages. Someone posted my home address on Twitter. The worst part, her follower count is skyrocketing. She's gone from 60,000 to 180,000 followers since Wednesday. She's getting supportive comments from other creators, some small brands reaching out to support her. She's doing live streams where she cries about her trauma. I have video evidence that she made this up. But I don't know if I should release it, or wait, or what. Lawrence keeps saying to trust the process, but I feel like I'm drowning while she gets more famous off of ruining my life. Am I crazy for wanting to post the footage right now? Or should I actually listen to my cousin and wait? Edit. Thanks for the responses. I know some of you are saying to post the evidence immediately, but Lawrence is being really insistent about not tipping her off before we lock everything down legally. Honestly, I barely slept last night. I keep thinking about how many people believe her version of reality. Edit 2. For everyone asking about the GoFundMe, yeah, I reported it to the platform for fraud. No response yet. Update 1. Thanks for all the advice on my last post. A lot of you told me to post the security footage immediately, but I'm glad I listened to my cousin Lawrence instead. Here's what's happened over the past week. First, the bad news. Tessa's following has exploded to 450,000. Her GoFundMe is at $8,400. She's done 3 more raw and vulnerable live streams where she cries about her trauma and thanks people for their support. 2 small skincare brands sent her PR packages and posted about supporting survivors. She's eating this up. My company completed their investigation and cleared me to return to work, but the damage is done. Some coworkers still look at me differently. I had to make my LinkedIn private because the comments wouldn't stop. Now for what's actually happening behind the scenes. Lawrence sat me down the day after I found the footage and walked me through exactly what we needed to do. I wanted to blast the video everywhere immediately. He said that was the worst possible move. Right now, she doesn't know you have evidence. That's your advantage. If you post it publicly, she'll scramble to create a counter-narrative. We need to lock down everything first, make it airtight before she knows what's coming. So that's what we've been doing. Lawrence brought in a colleague who specializes in digital forensics. They extracted the metadata from my security footage, timestamps, file creation dates, everything. The footage shows Tessa applying the makeup on Tuesday at 6:47 p.m. The TikTok video was posted Wednesday at 2:14 a.m. My flight didn't land back home until Thursday at 10:30 a.m. The forensics guy verified the files hadn't been tampered with and pulled GPS data from the backup logs. They even analyzed the lighting in Tessa's video and matched it to our bathroom fixtures. Frame by frame, you can see her consulting makeup tutorials on her phone, watching a YouTube video about creating realistic bruise effects. We compiled my conference evidence, flight confirmations, hotel records, conference badge timestamps, photos from other attendees, even video of my Tuesday presentation. I was verifiably in Denver the entire time. Lawrence had me get a medical examination. No defensive wounds, no bruising, nothing. The doctor documented that injuries like Tessa showed would have left marks on an attacker. My hands were clean, the most damning thing. The forensics guy found reference photos on Tessa's cloud storage, images of domestic violence bruises in a folder labeled Content Ideas, some dated 3 weeks back before our argument. There were screenshots of abuse survivor accounts, notes about authentic storytelling, a draft caption. Sometimes the person you love becomes the person you fear. This wasn't spontaneous. She planned it. Friday afternoon, Lawrence submitted everything to the district attorney's office with a formal complaint. The full security footage, the metadata, the flight records, the medical documentation, the reference photos, all of it. He also sent copies to my company's legal department. Since then, we've been waiting. Lawrence says these things move slowly, that we have to let the system work. But it's torture watching her gain followers and sympathy while I know the truth is sitting in a prosecutor's inbox somewhere. She posted another video yesterday. In it, she's talking about reclaiming her power and not letting him control her narrative anymore. The comments are full of people calling me a monster, saying I should be in jail. Someone recognized me at the grocery store and called me a piece of shit loud enough for the entire produce section to hear. The thing that gets me is how good she is at this. Her content shifted to survivor empowerment branding. She posted a TikTok about red flags I ignored that got 800K views, reframing every normal boundary I set as abuse. She did an Instagram live about healing her inner child, where people sent money in real-time donations hit almost 9 grand. A skincare brand sent PR products and posted about supporting survivors. Tessa reposted with a tearful thank you. They had no idea they were being used. I haven't tried to contact Tessa. Lawrence was very clear, no contact whatsoever. It can only hurt the case. So I've been blocking her on everything and just documenting any posts where she mentions me. I have a folder now with screenshots of everything, every post, every comment, every live stream moment. Just evidence stacking up. My mom asked me yesterday if any of it was true. Not the abuse, but whether I'd been unkind to Tessa in some way that would make her do this. I didn't even know how to answer that. I told her I wouldn't fund someone's career with no plan, and apparently that's a crime worthy of this. Mom went quiet for a while, then said, I believe you. I just don't understand why someone would do this. I don't either, honestly. The worst part is the waiting. Lawrence keeps saying trust the process, but every day she gets more followers, more money, more brands reaching out. She's literally building the career she wanted off the lie that destroyed mine. But Lawrence seems confident. He said something Friday that stuck with me. She's getting cocky. That's good. Cocky people make mistakes. I guess we'll see. For now, I'm just trying to keep my head down and wait for the authorities to actually do something. Edit. Some people are asking about the GoFundMe. I reported it to the platform with evidence of fraud, but they said they need to investigate before taking action. In the meantime, she's withdrawing money from it. Lawrence says that's actually good for our case, makes the fraud more concrete. Update 2, it's been 2 weeks since my last update. Things moved fast. Last Monday, I got served with a restraining order. Tessa filed for emergency protection, claiming I'd been harassing her through third parties and she feared for her safety. The irony wasn't lost on me. I hadn't contacted her once. Lawrence said this was actually good news. She's feeling threatened. Means she knows something's coming. The restraining order hearing was set for Friday. Lawrence told me to dress professionally and say absolutely nothing unless directly asked by the judge. He said he'd handle everything. I'm not gonna lie, walking into that courthouse knowing she'd be there made me sick. I hadn't seen her in person since I found the footage. She showed up with her mom, both of them dressed like they were going to a funeral. Tessa looked thin, pale, playing the victim role to perfection. The hearing started with her attorney presenting the restraining order request. He showed the judge Tessa's videos, talked about documented abuse, mentioned my LinkedIn as evidence of stalking. Tessa cried on cue. Then Lawrence stood up. Your Honor, my client would like to present evidence that Ms. Tessa's allegations are fabricated. Her attorney objected, but the judge let Lawrence proceed. Lawrence played the security footage side by side with Tessa's TikTok. Left side, Tessa applying purple makeup, checking reference photos on her phone, practicing different expressions in the mirror. Right side, the final video where she's crying about abuse, the bruises perfectly matching what she'd created. The courtroom went dead silent. I could see Tessa's attorney lean over to whisper something to her. Lawrence walked through everything methodically. The metadata showing timestamps. My flight records proving I was 1,200 miles away. The medical examination showing zero signs of physical altercation. The reference photos from her cloud storage with the folder labeled Content Ideas. He played clips from her fundraising live streams where she was accepting donations. Ms. Tessa has raised over $9,000 through fraudulent claims. She has received sponsorships based on false allegations. She has willfully destroyed my client's reputation for financial gain. Tessa's attorney tried to argue that the security footage was taken without her consent, that it violated her privacy. Lawrence shut that down immediately. The cameras were installed for home security 6 months ago. Ms. Tessa was aware of their presence and location. She chose to commit fraud in front of them. The judge looked at Tessa. Ms. Tessa, did you create false injuries using makeup and post them online claiming your boyfriend abused you? Tessa tried to stammer out an answer. Her attorney jumped in, but the judge cut him off. I'm asking Ms. Tessa directly. The lighting made it look worse than it was. I was trying to show emotional pain, not did you or did you not apply makeup to simulate bruises and claim they were from physical abuse? Silence. Then, barely audible, yes. The judge denied the restraining order immediately. Then she asked if the DA's office had been contacted. Lawrence confirmed they had, and that he'd submitted all evidence for criminal investigation. The judge made a note and said she'd be forwarding her findings to the prosecutor as well. We walked out of that courthouse and Tessa's attorney pulled Lawrence aside. I couldn't hear everything, but I caught phrases like willing to make a statement and mitigating factors. Lawrence's response was clear. Your client committed fraud on video and defamed my client to hundreds of thousands of people. We're not interested in mitigation. I thought that would be the end of it for the day, but apparently Tessa didn't learn. That same evening, she went live on Instagram. I wasn't watching, but Lawrence's assistant was monitoring her accounts. She was crying, saying the security footage was taken out of context, that she was expressing emotional abuse through physical metaphor, that I'd manipulated the evidence. Then she said something that Lawrence immediately sent to the prosecutor. The lighting in the bathroom made the makeup look more realistic than I intended. I had to go back and add more coverage so it would show up on camera properly. She literally confessed to deliberately creating fake bruises. On camera, again. Lawrence called me at 10 p.m. She just handed us another gift. That statement contradicts everything her lawyer tried to argue today. Monday morning, I woke up to messages saying Tessa had been arrested during a TikTok live stream. The video circulated everywhere. You can hear her saying, "Wait, what? No," before it cuts off. She's been charged with filing a false police report, criminal defamation, fraud, and cyberstalking. The DA issued a statement about taking false allegations seriously. Response was immediate. Brands deleted their posts. Her GoFundMe got suspended. Comments shifted to calling her out. Followers dropped to 380K from 450K. My company cleared me fully. My boss called to apologize. Tessa's mom posted on Facebook defending her, saying I'd driven her to this and the justice system was failing women. But even her own friends started commenting that the evidence was pretty clear. The best part, my LinkedIn is flooded now with messages of support. People apologizing for believing the initial allegations. Former colleagues reaching out. One message said, "I'm sorry I doubted you." This is a lesson in waiting for facts. Lawrence says the criminal trial will take months, but the civil case, me suing her for defamation, lost wages, and emotional distress, can move faster. He's confident we'll win. She confessed, twice, on video. This is the easiest case I've ever had. I still can't quite process it. 3 weeks ago my life was destroyed. Now she's facing criminal charges and I'm watching everything she built collapse. Someone asked me if I feel bad for her. Honestly, no. She made a calculated decision to ruin my life for social media clout. She knew exactly what she was doing. The evidence proves that. What I do feel is relieved and vindicated and really, really tired. Edit. For everyone asking, yes, I've started the process of getting my name cleared from the Google results. Lawrence's firm is handling that. It's a slow process, but they're optimistic. Final update: it's been 3 months since Tessa's arrest. A lot of you have been asking for updates, so here's where everything landed. The criminal trial wrapped up in December. Tessa's attorney tried to negotiate a plea deal early on, but the DA wasn't interested in going light. The evidence was too clear, and they wanted to make an example out of false reporting cases. She ended up taking a plea agreement, guilty on all charges in exchange for a slightly reduced sentence. She got 18 months in prison, 3 years probation after release, and 200 hours of community service. She's also required to pay restitution $9,247 to everyone who donated to her GoFundMe, plus court fees. The judge added a stipulation that she's banned from social media platforms for the duration of her probation. Her accounts were permanently suspended by TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube for violating terms of service. The part that really hit her: she's now listed as a vexatious litigant in our state. Means she can't file lawsuits without court permission. Essentially blacklisted from using the legal system as a weapon. The civil trial was faster. Lawrence filed for defamation, intentional infliction of emotional distress, and lost wages. We had documentation of everything: my legal fees, therapy costs. Yeah, I started going. The wages from my suspension period, even the cost of reputation management services. Tessa's attorney tried to argue she didn't have assets to pay any judgment. Lawrence pulled her bank records showing she'd spent the GoFundMe money on new camera equipment, a laptop, and clothes for videos. The judge wasn't sympathetic. The court awarded me $120,000 in damages. Tessa's required to pay in installments, but Lawrence is realistic. You'll probably never see most of it, but the judgment follows her forever. Impacts her credit, any future earnings, everything. The penalty amount from the court was separate: $250,000 for filing fraudulent abuse claims. That money doesn't come to me, it goes to the state's Victim Assistance Fund. But it means Tessa's financially destroyed for years to come. As for my life now, I moved to Portland in January, got recruited by a bigger firm specifically for internal security infrastructure work, better pay, better team, and nobody here knows my face from a viral video. I was promoted to senior engineer last month, basically running my own small team now. The work is challenging in ways I'd forgotten could be satisfying. I started rock climbing at a gym near my apartment. Sounds random, but my therapist suggested finding something physical that requires focus. It works. Turns out there's something therapeutic about problem solving with your body instead of your brain. I've met people who know me as the guy who's decent at bouldering, not the guy from that TikTok. My LinkedIn is back to normal. I still get occasional messages from people who remember the original story, but they're mostly supportive now. Some are from other people who have been falsely accused of things online, asking how I proved my innocence. I try to respond when I can. The weirdest closure came 2 weeks ago. Tessa's father sent a letter through Lawrence's office. It was an apology not on Tessa's behalf, but his own. He wrote that after everything came out, he and his wife reviewed Tessa's past. This wasn't her first fabricated allegation. High school, accused a teacher of inappropriate behavior after a bad grade, investigation proved false. College, filed a police report claiming a roommate stole from her, turned out Tessa moved the items herself. He wrote, "We enabled her by believing her every time. We taught her that lying worked. I'm sorry you became the target. I hope you can rebuild what she took." I haven't responded. I appreciate the honesty, but it's too late. Tessa's currently 7 months into her sentence. From what I understand through Lawrence's occasional updates, she's not allowed computer access in prison, obviously. Her mom still posts on Facebook occasionally defending her, but those posts get ratioed pretty hard. The internet has a long memory. My parents ask me sometimes if I'm angry. Honestly, not anymore. I was furious for months, but I'm past that. She made bad choices and faced proportional consequences. I don't need revenge because the system worked. What I learned: truth matters, but it needs evidence. Social media moves on feelings, not facts. If I hadn't had those cameras, hadn't documented everything, hadn't listened to Lawrence and stayed strategic, I'd still be fighting this. I also learned people are quick to condemn but slow to apologize. A lot of people who called me a monster never circled back to say they were wrong. That's fine. I just hope they remember next time to wait for evidence. Someone asked if I'd ever trust someone again. The answer is yes, but differently. I trust people who show consistency over time, people who take accountability, people whose actions match their words. I'm doing okay, better than okay. I have a job I like, a city I'm getting to know, hobbies that don't involve screens. My name is mostly clear online. I can go to the grocery store without being recognized. It's not the life I planned, but it's a good one. And unlike Tessa's version, it's real. Thanks to everyone who gave me advice in those early posts, especially the people who told me to stay quiet and trust the legal process. You were right. It sucked at the time, but you were right. I probably won't post another update. This chapter's closed. Time to focus on the next one. Story 8. My girlfriend texted, "I drove your McLaren into the lake." Oops. And I watched her live stream the whole thing. Throwaway because this is blowing up in ways I didn't expect. I don't even know where to start. I'm sitting in my apartment right now, still processing what happened 6 hours ago. My hands are shaking typing this. Some context. I'm 30, VP of product at a mid-sized tech company in Austin. After years of climbing the ladder and stock options vesting, I finally treated myself to a McLaren 720S. Not trying to flex, it was just something I'd wanted since I was a kid reading car magazines. Cost me $345,000, and yeah, I know that's insane money for a car, but it represented everything I'd worked for. I still have my regular Tesla for daily driving, but the McLaren was my weekend car, my pride and joy. My girlfriend Sloane is 23, freelance model influencer. We've been together a year, living together for 8 months. She moved into my place in Austin, doesn't pay rent, which I was fine with since I wanted to support her career. She does lookbook shoots, brand partnerships, that kind of thing. Her following's been declining lately, maybe 85K on Instagram now, down from like 140K last year. I've noticed she's been stressed about it, constantly checking engagement numbers, talking about the algorithm. Looking back now, I should have seen signs. She's used my apartment, the pool, even my first car for shoots without really asking, just assumed it was fine. I didn't mind because I loved her and wanted her to succeed. But there's been this shift the past few months. She's become almost desperate about content. Everything's a potential shoot. Everything's about engagement metrics. I thought I was supporting my girlfriend's career. Now I'm wondering if I was just providing production value. Here's where it gets completely insane. I was in a client meeting this afternoon when I got a text from Sloane. "Babe, PLS, don't freak, I drove your McLaren into Lake Travis. It's like gone." I stared at my phone for probably 30 seconds, called her immediately. No answer, called again. Nothing. I'm thinking she had some terrible accident, medical emergency, something. I'm about to call 911 when my phone starts blowing up with Instagram notifications. She's live streaming. I open it and there she is, standing by the lake in a bathing suit and robe, camera set up on a tripod, talking to her viewers about how she accidentally drove my car into the water during a shoot. The comments are going crazy, queen energy. This is iconic. She's fearless. I can see part of my McLaren's roof barely visible above the waterline in the background, just sitting there, sinking. She's smiling. Actually smiling and doing this apologetic but cute thing for the camera. It's totally fine, you guys. Insurance covers it. Worth it for the content, right? Over 40,000 people watching live. I left my meeting, drove straight home in my Tesla. She wasn't there. I sat down and tried to think logically about this because nothing made sense. Sloane's not a great driver, but she's not incompetent. Lake Travis isn't exactly somewhere you just accidentally end up. And why was she filming? Then I remembered my McLaren has a dashcam system that auto-syncs to the cloud. Premium feature I'd honestly forgotten about. I pulled it up on my laptop. What I saw made me feel physically sick. The footage shows Sloane setting up her tripod and ring light near the lake. She gets in the car, adjusts the mirrors, checks her makeup. Then she angles the car toward the water and looks directly at her camera setup and says, "I rewatched this part 3 times to make sure I heard right. This'll go viral. Luxury, water, golden hour. Can't flop." She wasn't planning to drive it into the lake. Best I can figure, she wanted to drive it near the edge for dramatic shots. But the ground was muddy from rain last week, and when she hit the gas, the front wheels lost traction and the whole car just slid forward into the water. You can hear her screaming, "No, no, no shit," as it happens. But here's the thing, even after it went in, even after she got out soaking wet, her first move was to grab her phone and start recording. The live stream started maybe 90 seconds after my car hit the water, not checking if anyone was hurt, not calling for help, just content. I sat there watching that footage on loop, and each time it got worse. The casual way she talked about it going viral, the calculation. This wasn't my girlfriend having an accident. This was a stranger using my property as a disposable prop. She deliberately took my McLaren keys without asking. She knew where I kept them since we lived together, drove it to the lake specifically for content, and destroyed it. The audio is crystal clear. And she did all this while I was in a work meeting. I don't know what to do with this information. Part of me wants to just handle this privately, break up, move on. But that's $345,000. My insurance might not cover this if they see the dashcam footage showing it was intentional. And honestly, I'm so angry I can barely see straight. This wasn't some stupid mistake. She used my car as a prop and destroyed it. The logical part of my brain knows this is insurance fraud. That's a crime. But there's this other part that keeps thinking about the person I fell in love with last year. Was any of it real? Or was I always just a production budget? Do I show this to the police? My insurance company? Do I just show it to her and see what she says? I loved this person. I thought she loved me. Now I'm wondering if I was just another background element in her content strategy. Am I wrong to feel completely betrayed here? She's sending me texts now acting like it was a genuine accident, saying she feels terrible, asking when I'm coming home. But I watched the footage. I know the truth. What would you do? Edit. Holy shit, this got more responses than I expected. Reading through comments now. Some of you are saying I need to report this immediately. Others saying insurance fraud is a serious crime. I'm still trying to process that she did this at all. Going to talk to a lawyer friend in the morning. Will update if anything significant happens. Edit 2. Multiple people are DMing me saying they saw the live stream and recorded it. Apparently it's already on X and TikTok. This is spiraling fast. Update 1. Thanks for all the responses. Honestly didn't expect this to blow up like it did, but I guess a $345K car in a lake is pretty hard to ignore. Several people told me to contact police immediately. I did. So here's what happened since yesterday. I called a lawyer friend last night, explained the situation, sent him the dashcam footage. He watched it twice and said, "Owen, this isn't just relationship drama. This is criminal mischief and probable insurance fraud. You need to file a police report." I went to the station that evening. The officer I spoke with seemed skeptical at first. I could tell he thought this was some kind of civil dispute between a couple. Then I showed him the dashcam video. His whole demeanor changed. He called his supervisor over. They watched the part where Sloan literally says, "This'll go viral," before driving toward the water maybe 5 times. The supervisor asked if I'd filed an insurance claim yet. I said no, I just discovered the footage and wanted to report it first. He nodded and said that was the right call because if Sloan filed a claim saying it was an accident, that would be textbook insurance fraud. They took my statement, copied the footage, and said they'd be in contact. I got home late. Sloan was there, in the living room, editing photos on her laptop. She looked up when I walked in and immediately started this whole apologetic routine. "Babe, I'm so sorry. I know you're upset, but it was a total accident." I cut her off. "I saw the dashcam footage." She went completely still. "What footage?" "The car has a cloud-synced dashcam. I watched everything. I heard what you said before you drove it toward the water." I've never seen someone's face do what hers did in that moment. She went from confused to panic to this weird, calculating expression in about 3 seconds. Then she pivoted to tears. Okay, yes, I was trying to get content, but I didn't mean for it to go in the water. It was supposed to be dramatic shots near the edge. The accident part was real. I told her I'd already filed a police report. She stared at me like I'd slapped her. You went to the police over a car, like it wasn't $345,000, like it wasn't mine, like intention doesn't matter. I told her to stay in the guest room. She started crying harder, saying I was overreacting, that couples work through things. I just walked away. This morning I woke up to my phone absolutely exploding. Sloane had done another live stream early this morning. Apparently she couldn't help herself, doing damage control, telling her followers about the accident, how traumatic it was, how I was being really cold about the whole thing. About 30,000 people watching. And the police showed up while she was streaming. I wasn't there. I'd gone to a coffee shop to clear my head, but multiple people have sent me clips. The cops knocked. She answered the door with her phone still recording, and they told her she was being arrested for criminal mischief and reckless endangerment. You can hear her voice go high and panicky. Wait, what? This is a mistake. One officer is explaining her rights while she's still holding her phone, viewers watching everything. The comments were chaos. OMG, is this real? Someone screen recorded this. Over 50,000 people watched my girlfriend get arrested in real time. The video's everywhere now. X, TikTok, Instagram. It's being called the McLaren Lake arrest, and there are already memes. This is so far beyond what I ever imagined would happen. But here's where it gets darker. My lawyer friend called me this afternoon. The police had done a more thorough review of the dashcam audio files. Apparently the system stores like 48 hours of rolling footage. They found something from 2 days before the incident. Sloane had been sitting in the McLaren, probably using it as a quiet place to take a call. The dashcam picked up her entire conversation with someone named Nico, her photographer friend. I've met him a few times. In the call, she's talking about her declining engagement, how she needs a moment to go viral again. Then Nico asks about me, and she says I'm not paraphrasing. My lawyer played me the audio. After this pops, I'm ditching him and heading to LA, just need him a few more months. The apartment and the lifestyle shots are keeping my feed alive. I sat in my car in the coffee shop parking lot listening to this and felt absolutely nothing. Not anger, not hurt, just this cold clarity. She was never my girlfriend. I was her production assistant. The prosecutor now has this audio. My lawyer says it establishes premeditation and shows she was using me for material benefit, which strengthens both the criminal mischief charge and potentially adds fraud dimensions to the case. Meanwhile, Sloane's mother has started a whole PR thing on Facebook claiming I'm a controlling tech bro who's weaponizing the legal system against her daughter. She's sharing photos of Sloane looking sad, saying this is about me exerting financial power over a younger woman. Some of Sloane's followers are eating it up, sending me hate messages, calling me abusive. It's insane. I have video of her deliberately destroying my property. I have audio of her planning to use and leave me, but somehow I'm the villain in her narrative. My insurance company called today. They've seen the police report and the dashcam footage. Initially, there was some back and forth about whether this qualified as vandalism, since Sloane had access to the vehicle as a household member. But once they reviewed the evidence showing she deliberately destroyed it for commercial purposes and saw that I'd filed criminal charges, they classified it as malicious destruction of property. They're investigating whether to cover this as vandalism or deny the claim based on Sloane's access to the vehicle. Either way, they're going after her for restitution. I'm exhausted. I barely slept last night. This has gone from a relationship betrayal to a legal nightmare to an internet circus in less than 48 hours. The preliminary hearing is in 2 weeks. My lawyer thinks they'll probably offer her a plea deal, pay restitution, probation, avoid jail time. But she's still posting on social media playing the victim, so I honestly don't know if she'll take responsibility for anything. I just wanted to drive a nice car and be with someone I loved. Now I'm watching my ex-girlfriend's mugshot become a meme while her mom calls me an abuser online. How did it come to this? Update 2. It's been 12 days since my last update. The preliminary hearing is tomorrow. I need to write this down while I can still process it clearly because the last 2 weeks have been absolutely surreal. First, the footage leaked. Not from me, I've been careful with the evidence. But someone at the police station or the prosecutor's office apparently sent the dashcam video to a friend, who sent it to someone else, and by last Tuesday it was on X. The full clip, Sloane setting up her shot saying this'll go viral, the car sliding into the lake, her immediately grabbing her phone to start filming. Within 6 hours it had 4 million views. The internet is not kind when they feel they've been lied to. All those people who called her iconic and fearless after the live stream completely turned. The comments went from Queen to she destroyed a $345K car for content. The think pieces started rolling in. The dangers of influencer culture. When social media addiction becomes crime. Vice wrote an article. Vice Sloane's follower count dropped from 85,000 to 31,000 in 4 days. Her mother's PR campaign backfired spectacularly. Once people saw the actual footage, all those Facebook posts about me being a controlling tech bro looked ridiculous. Screenshots of her mom's post started circulating with the dashcam audio attached. People found Sloane's old sponsored posts where she posed with my apartment, my first car, my stuff and started commenting, was he controlling or were you using him? 3 brands she had partnerships with dropped her. Not quietly, either public statements. One skincare company said they don't align with individuals who show reckless disregard for others' property. That particular line stung her, I think, because she posted a long Instagram story rant about cancel culture that just made everything worse. Then the IRS thing started. Apparently, and I didn't know this, Sloane hasn't filed taxes in 3 years. Some internet detective found her old posts where she mentioned brand deals and calculated she probably made $40,000, $60,000 annually that she never reported. They sent tips to the IRS. I don't know if anything will actually come from that, but my lawyer says if they do investigate, her legal problems just multiplied. The prosecutor filed formal charges last week. 3 counts, criminal mischief, felony, property damage over $300,000, insurance fraud, she filed a claim saying it was an accident, and reckless endangerment, apparently driving a car into a public lake without safety measures counts. Her public defender tried to negotiate a plea deal. Pay $50,000 restitution, 2 years probation, drop the fraud charge. The prosecutor said no. They want the full amount and all charges on the table because of the audio evidence showing premeditation. I saw Sloane once during this period. We met at a coffee shop to discuss her moving her stuff out. She looked terrible, no makeup, hair pulled back, wearing sweats, not the polished version from Instagram. She sat down and immediately started crying. "This is destroying my life," she said. "I've lost everything. My career's over." I just looked at her. "You destroyed a $345,000 car for content. I didn't mean for it to go in the water, but you meant to use it without asking. You meant to risk it for engagement. You told Nico you were using me until you could leave for LA." She flinched. "You heard that. The police heard it. The prosecutor heard it. It's evidence now." She tried a different angle. "I loved you. I know I screwed up, but I did love you. Maybe a few weeks ago that would have worked. Maybe I would have found some way to rationalize it, to believe her. But I've spent 2 weeks watching her lie to the internet, watching her mother lie about me, watching her play victim while taking zero accountability." "No," I said. "You loved what I provided. There's a difference." She left crying. I felt nothing. My insurance company decided to classify the loss as vandalism and paid out $265,000, the car's value minus depreciation and deductible. There was initially some concern since Sloane was a household member with access to the keys, but the dashcam evidence showing premeditation for commercial purposes, combined with the criminal charges, made it clear this was malicious destruction rather than a domestic dispute. They're pursuing Sloan for the full $345,000 plus their legal costs. Her mom started a GoFundMe to help with legal fees that got taken down after one day for violating terms of service. Apparently, you can't fundraise for legal defense of crimes. I used part of the insurance money to buy a Porsche 911. Not as flashy as the McLaren, but I honestly don't care anymore. It's just a car. I've also been talking to a woman named Maya I met through a friend. She's a CPA, reads books, doesn't use Instagram. We got coffee twice. The second time she asked how I was really doing with everything. Honestly, I'm just tired, I said. Tired of being angry, tired of the whole circus. She nodded. You know what helped me after my divorce? Hiking, just being somewhere with no cell service. Your ex was bad, different kind of bad. He wasn't using me for content, he was just using me. She smiled a little. At least yours went viral, I laughed, actually laughed. That's dark. Too soon. No, it's perfect. We talked for 2 hours. About her job, my work, books we'd read, places we wanted to travel, normal things. She didn't ask if she could post about it. Didn't suggest we take a photo together, just existed with me in that moment. It reminded me what I'd been missing. With Sloan, every interaction felt like it was being filmed for an invisible audience. With Maya, I could just be myself without worrying about lighting or angles or engagement metrics. I don't know where that'll go, but it reminded me what healthy interaction feels like. Tomorrow's the hearing. My lawyer says Sloan will probably try to plead down again, but given the public attention and the audio evidence, the prosecutor's feeling confident. Worst case for her is actual prison time, though first offense probably means probation and hefty restitution. Best case for her, she pays back $345,000 she doesn't have and spends 2 years rebuilding a reputation that's permanently in the toilet. I don't feel victorious. I don't feel vindicated, I'm just tired. I wanted a relationship and got a production. I wanted a partner and got a content creator who saw me as a prop. The hearing's tomorrow morning. I'll update after if anything significant happens. Though honestly, at this point I'm ready to just close this chapter and move on. She can have the internet attention she wanted so badly. All of it. Final update, the hearing was yesterday. I'm writing this from a hotel in Denver. I'll explain that in a minute. Austin County Courthouse morning session. The gallery was packed. Apparently this case got enough attention that local news showed up. I sat in the back with my lawyer while Sloan sat up front with her public defender. She wore a white dress, hair down, the whole innocent young woman look. Her mother was there, glaring at me like I'd personally ruined her daughter's life. The prosecutor laid out everything. The dashcam footage, the audio of her planning to leave me, the insurance claim she filed claiming mechanical failure. The defense tried to argue diminished capacity, that Sloan was under extreme stress from declining career prospects and not thinking clearly. The judge, a woman in her 60s, looked utterly unmoved. Ms. Vieira, you deliberately took a vehicle worth $345,000 without permission, used it for commercial content creation, destroyed it, and then attempted to defraud an insurance company. These are not the actions of someone experiencing momentary poor judgment. These are calculated decisions made over several hours. Sloan's lawyer tried to interject something about social media pressure. The judge cut her off. I've reviewed the evidence, including the recording where Ms. Vieira discusses using Mr. Hale for lifestyle shots and planning to leave him after achieving her goals. This isn't about social media pressure. This is about exploitation and entitlement. The sentencing took about 10 minutes. Sloan stood there crying while the judge read it out. 2 years probation, 500 hours community service, $345,000 restitution to be paid on a court-mandated schedule, $45,000 in fines and court costs, and mandatory counseling for what the judge called digital accountability and ethical behavior. And then the part that made Sloan actually gasp out loud. Furthermore, as a condition of probation, Ms. Vieira is prohibited from creating, maintaining, or using any personal social media accounts on platforms including but not limited to Instagram, TikTok, X, Facebook, and YouTube for commercial or promotional purposes. Any social media use must receive prior written approval from her probation officer. This restriction is directly related to the offense and will remain in effect for the full duration of her probation period. 2 years. No social media. For someone whose entire identity was built on Instagram, this was the real sentence. Sloan looked like she'd been physically struck. No social media. For 2 years, the judge nodded. You use social media as a tool to commit fraud and exploit others. Until you demonstrate genuine rehabilitation, you will not have access to those tools. Consider it a digital timeout. Her mother started crying. Sloan just stood there staring at nothing. The judge asked if I wanted to make a victim impact statement. I stood up and kept it brief. I trusted her. She saw me as content, that's all I have to say. Court adjourned. Sloan's mother tried to approach me in the hallway, but my lawyer intercepted her. We left through a side exit. News cameras were waiting outside, but I didn't stop to talk. Here's what's happened since. The insurance company's claim against Sloan is ongoing, but they've paid me out. I put $100,000 toward an MBA program I've been putting off. The rest is invested. The Porsche's nice, but honestly I don't care about cars the same way anymore. 2 weeks after the sentencing, I accepted a job offer in Denver. Better pay, better role, fresh start. I moved last weekend. Maya came with me. We're not living together, but we'd been dating seriously for about a month and she got a job transfer. We're taking it slow. She met my parents last week. They loved her mostly because she asked them about their lives instead of taking selfies in their house. I don't know if it'll work long term, but it feels real. No cameras, no performance, just 2 people existing together. As for Sloan, I heard through mutual friends that she moved back to South Dakota where her family's from. She's working retail at a hardware store. No phone allowed except a basic flip phone per probation terms. Her Instagram account still exists but hasn't been updated since the sentencing. The last post has 30,000 comments, mostly people asking if she learned anything. I don't hate her. I'm not even angry anymore. She made her choices and now she's living with them, same as me. The difference is I chose to move forward and she chose content over everything else. Last week I was hiking with Maya in Rocky Mountain National Park and realized I hadn't thought about the McLaren in days. Hadn't checked to see if Sloan was online. Hadn't wondered about the case. I was just there, present, real. That's worth more than any car. To everyone who followed this story, thanks for the advice, the support, and honestly, even the reality checks. Some of you told me to get out early. You were right. Some told me to pursue full legal action. Also right. This whole thing taught me that authenticity matters more than aesthetic and that the life you live offline is the only one that actually counts. Sloan wanted to go viral. She did. Just not the way she imagined. Peace. Story 9. I'm a civil engineer in Denver, been with my girlfriend Harper for about 18 months. She's an art teacher, smart, fun when things are good. But honestly, there have been some weird patterns I've been ignoring because I didn't want to be that guy who overthinks everything. The main thing, she talks about her ex Caleb constantly. Like, I'd mention a restaurant and she'd go, "Oh, Caleb, and I went there once. The pasta was terrible." Or she'd send me memes and be like, "Caleb would have hated this law." She always follows it up with, "I'm so over him obviously, but why bring him up 3 times a week then?" Last month she showed me a LinkedIn post he made about real estate investing and spent 20 minutes analyzing it. When I asked why she was still checking his LinkedIn, she got defensive and said I was being controlling. Also, she does this thing where if I want alone time or a guy's night, she hits me with, "You don't actually love me, do you?" It's exhausting. Back in September, I wanted to go to a Broncos game with my brother, just us two, haven't had quality time in months. She cried for an hour about how I was choosing everyone else over her, and if you really loved me, you'd want me there. I ended up selling the tickets. Looking back, that should have been a bigger warning sign. She pulls this stuff constantly. If I go to the gym without texting her every 30 minutes, I get accused of being distant. If I'm tired after a 12-hour site inspection and don't want to go out, suddenly I'm not making effort. I've started just staying home and being available 24/7 to avoid the guilt trip, which I know is insane. So here's the situation. My best friend Mason is getting married in 3 weeks. I'm his best man. Mason and I met freshman year of college when we got randomly assigned as roommates. We've been tight ever since. He was there when my dad died junior year. I was there when he got laid off in 2020. This isn't just some casual friend, this is my brother. I've been planning this bachelor party for months. Miami, nice hotel, Fontainebleau, steak dinner at this place his fiancée recommended, rooftop bar in Wynwood. We rented a yacht for an afternoon. 8 guys total, flights booked, everything paid for. It's a whole thing. Mason's been stressed about the wedding planning and his fiancée's family drama. This trip is supposed to be where he actually gets to relax and have fun before the big day. Last Tuesday, Harper and I were watching TV and I mentioned I needed to finalize the Miami headcount. She got quiet, then said, "If you go to Miami, I'm sleeping with my ex, Caleb, just so we're even." I thought she was joking. She wasn't. I said, "What are you talking about?" She shrugged. "Bachelor parties are basically cheating. You guys are probably hiring strippers or going to strip clubs or whatever. So if you're gonna do that, I should get to do something too. It's only fair. We're not hiring strippers, it's literally just dinner and a boat." "That's what you say now." She was completely serious, like she just suggested ordering pizza. "Look, I'm just being honest with you. You go to Miami and do whatever guys do at those things I'm calling Caleb. We'll be even." I sat there for a minute trying to process. "The thing is," she said it so casually, like it was a reasonable negotiation. Like she just proposed we split the check. Finally, I said, "Harper, if that's what you're gonna do, then do it. But don't do something you'll regret just to prove a point to me." Her face changed. She looked shocked, like she'd expected me to immediately cancel the trip and apologize. "Are you serious right now? You don't even care?" "I care that you're threatening to cheat on me because I'm going to my best friend's bachelor party. Yeah, I care about that." "It's not cheating if I'm telling you first," she said. "That's the whole point. It's honest." I just got up and went to bed early. Didn't know what else to say to that logic. Since then it's been tense as hell. She keeps testing me, asking if I've reconsidered, or saying things like, "I guess you just don't care what I do." Yesterday morning she made a comment about how Caleb always knew how to make her feel valued, and then looked at me like she was waiting for me to react. I told her I'm going to Miami because it's my best friend's wedding and I'm not missing it because of a threat. She called me selfish and slept in the guest room. Here's what's messing with my head. Am I wrong for calling what I see as a bluff? Part of me genuinely thinks she won't go through with it, that this is just another control move to see if she can make me choose her over my best friend. But another part of me wonders if she's actually serious, and I'm just in denial about how far she'll take this. Like, who actually says that out loud to their partner? Who uses infidelity as a negotiating tactic? I talked to Mason yesterday and he told me if I need to skip Miami he'd understand, but I can tell he'd be hurt. This whole thing feels insane. I'm flying out Friday. I don't know if she'll actually go through with it, and honestly, I'm starting not to care. That probably sounds cold, but I'm tired of being tested. Am I the asshole for going anyway? Or should I take her threat seriously and stay home? Edit. Thanks for the responses. A lot of you are saying this is manipulative behavior and I should just end it now. You're probably right. I've been seeing the red flags for months, just didn't want to admit I picked someone who operates like this. I'm definitely going to Miami regardless. Whatever happens after that happens. Edit 2. Someone in the comments suggested I reach out to Caleb directly to give him a heads up about what she's planning. Not gonna lie, that's actually a smart move. If she's serious about this, he deserves to know he's being used as a weapon in someone else's relationship. I'll update after Miami. Update 1. Okay, so first off, thanks to everyone who commented. The overwhelming response was, "This is manipulation, get out," and "Yeah, you were all right." But what happened since I posted is honestly insane. After reading the comments, I decided to reach out to Caleb. Took me a day to find him on LinkedIn. Harper never mentioned his last name much, but I remembered she'd shown me his profile that one time. Found him, sent a message Monday morning. "Hey, this is going to sound weird, but I'm dating your ex Harper and need to talk to you about something. Can we meet for a beer?" He responded within an hour. Yeah, I figured she was still pulling this kind of thing. "Tomorrow work?" That response alone should have told me everything. We met Tuesday evening at this brewery downtown, near his office, one of those industrial places with concrete floors and Edison bulbs. He's a real estate investment analyst, showed up in a suit looking tired as hell, loosened tie, clearly came straight from work. We got a corner table and I explained the situation, the threat, the Miami trip, all of it. I half expected him to laugh or tell me I was overreacting. Instead, he pulled out his phone and said, "How much time do you have?" That's when I knew this was going to be bad. Turns out Harper and Caleb dated for 2 years. They broke up 20 months ago, so she started dating me literally 2 months after their breakup, which explains a lot about why she still talks about him constantly. According to Caleb, she was the one who ended it. She decided he wasn't ambitious enough or didn't prioritize her enough. He said her reasons changed depending on who she was talking to. But then she immediately regretted it and spent the next year and a half trying to get him back. He showed me text messages, hundreds of them. After their breakup, she'd text him 2 or 3 times a week, sometimes apologizing. "I know I messed up, can we please just talk?" Sometimes angry, "You're being immature by ignoring me." Sometimes trying to make him jealous by mentioning guys she was seeing. "Went on a date with someone from work. He's actually really successful. Thought you should know." I'm assuming I was one of those mentions at some point. He'd respond maybe once every few weeks asking her to stop, then eventually just stopped responding at all. She didn't stop texting. He scrolled through months of one-sided conversations. It was honestly unsettling. Then he showed me emails. Long ones, like 2 or 3 paragraphs each, sent at 2 or 3 a.m. Subject lines like "I miss us," and "Why won't you just talk to me?" and my personal favorite, "You're making a huge mistake." The emails would swing from nostalgic, "Remember when we went to Santa Fe and stayed in that cabin?" to accusatory, "You clearly never cared about me at all," to almost threatening, "You're going to regret this when you realize what you gave up." He stopped opening them around last December, but here's where it gets really bad. Around the time we started dating, about 18 months ago, she showed up at his office. Just walked into the building, somehow got past security, and knocked on his conference room door during a client meeting. Started crying and asking why he was ignoring her. His boss had to escort her out. Caleb said he tried to get a restraining order, but the cops told him it wasn't enough for a clear pattern of harassment yet. They told him to document everything and come back if it escalated. I sat there staring at my beer trying to process all this. Finally, I asked, "Why didn't you block her completely?" He shrugged. "I did. She just used different numbers or make new email addresses. After the office thing, I blocked everything I could find, but she'd still find ways. Eventually she stopped, or I thought she stopped. I'm guessing she just moved on to you." Then he said something that made my stomach drop. "She used to pull this same kind of thing when we were together. If I had plans with friends, she'd threaten to do something drastic, skip work, or get drunk and text her ex, or drive to her parents' house and not tell me where she went. It worked for a while. I'd cancel plans to manage whatever crisis she created. Took me way too long to realize it was all manufactured." I showed him screenshots of some of Harper's recent texts to me. The "you don't love me" stuff, the guilt trips. He nodded. Yeah, that's her playbook. We ended up talking for almost 3 hours. The more he shared, the more I realized Harper had literally used the exact same manipulation tactics on both of us. The constant mentions of exes to make us jealous. The guilt trips about alone time. The emotional hostage situations. Caleb was actually a decent guy, straightforward, clearly over it, just tired of her bullshit. We talked about other stuff too. Turns out we both like the same kind of whiskey, both into hiking, both dealt with the same ridiculous mind games. Before we left, I made a decision. One of the guys had to cancel the Miami trip last-minute work thing, so we had an empty spot. I asked Caleb if he wanted to come. He laughed, then realized I was serious. Are you insane? Probably, I said. But you deserve a vacation, and honestly, it'd be pretty funny. Plus, if she's actually planning to call you this weekend, might as well make sure you're not available. He thought about it for a minute, then grinned. You know what? Screw it. Yeah, I'm in. So now Caleb's coming to Miami. I texted the group chat and just said spot filled, friend from work, and nobody questioned it. Mason knows the full story and thinks it's hilarious. Harper doesn't know yet. I haven't told her I talked to Caleb, and I'm definitely not mentioning he's coming to Miami. I'm just done engaging with her threats. She texted me this morning asking if I'd thought about what she said, and I just responded I'm going to Miami on Friday. She called immediately. I let it go to voicemail. She left a 3-minute message that was part guilt trip, part anger. I can't believe you're choosing your friends over our relationship, and I guess I know where I stand, and fine, don't say I didn't warn you. I deleted it without listening to the whole thing. Then she sent a follow-up text. I'm serious about Caleb. I'll do it. I left her on read. Flight leaves in 3 days. I'm honestly curious to see what she does when she realizes Caleb isn't sitting at home waiting for her call. I'll update after the trip. This is probably going to be a disaster, but at this point I'm too tired to care. Edit. A few people are asking if I'm planning to break up with her. Yes. Absolutely yes. I'm just waiting until after Miami because I want to enjoy my best friend's bachelor party without her blowing up my phone with crisis texts. Once I'm back, I'm ending it and going full no contact. Update 2. Well, that was a weekend. We got to Miami Friday afternoon. The group is me, Mason, Groom, 6 other guys from college and work, and Caleb. I introduced Caleb as a friend from Denver and nobody asked questions. Mason pulled me aside later and just grinned. This is the most petty thing I've ever seen. I'm proud of you. Friday night was dinner at this steakhouse in South Beach, drinks, cigars on the patio, the whole deal. Caleb fit in great. Turns out he's funny as hell once he's relaxed and not talking about his psycho ex. We stayed up way too late at the hotel bar. Saturday was the yacht. Perfect weather, ocean views, a cooler full of beer, and a captain who knew all the good spots. That's when things got interesting. Tyler had made custom t-shirts for everyone that said Mason's last ride with the Miami skyline. Mason, who knew the full story about Caleb, had secretly ordered one extra shirt that said Team Caleb in the same font. He gave it to Caleb Saturday morning with a grin. Caleb thought it was hilarious and wore it all day. We took a group photo on the boat, everyone in their Miami shirts, Caleb front and center in the Team Caleb one, doing this exaggerated thumbs-up pose. Tyler posted it to Instagram around noon. Tagged everyone, captioned it Brotherhood with some boat emojis. Within 30 minutes, my phone started blowing up. Harper called 6 times in a row. I declined all of them. Then came the texts, a whole paragraph about how I'm humiliating her, how she can't believe I'd stoop this low, how I'm clearly trying to hurt her on purpose. I didn't respond. She started calling Caleb. He showed me his phone, 3 calls from a number he didn't recognize. He declined them all and we went back to having a good time. By Saturday night, she'd sent me 14 texts and left 4 voicemails. I didn't open any of them. The group knew something was up, but nobody pushed. Mason just kept handing me drinks and changing the subject whenever I looked at my phone. Sunday morning, I woke up to an email, 2 pages long. I'm not going to copy the whole thing, but the highlights. I'm manipulative and cruel. I clearly never loved her. I orchestrated this whole thing to embarrass her. And my favorite line, bringing Caleb to Miami is basically emotional abuse. There was also a section where she explained that she'd only made the threat to see if I actually cared, and she never would have actually gone through with it. Sure, Harper. I sat on the hotel balcony with coffee and realized I was done. Not angry done, just tired done. The kind of done where you can't even muster the energy to argue anymore. I called her. She answered on the first ring. Logan, thank God, I've been trying to reach you. We need to talk about. I cut her off. No, we don't. I'm breaking up with you. Silence for about 5 seconds. Then, you can't be serious. Because of this weekend. You're breaking up with me because I was upset that you brought my ex-boyfriend to Miami. I'm breaking up with you because you threatened to cheat on me to control my behavior. And because I talked to Caleb and found out you've been lying about pretty much everything regarding your past relationship. And because I'm exhausted from walking on eggshells around your emotional manipulation. She started crying. I didn't mean it. The threat was just I was scared you'd cheat. I was trying to protect myself. By threatening to cheat first. That's not how relationships work, Harper. Logan, please, we can fix this. I'll go to therapy, I'll work on my jealousy, I'll stop talking about Caleb. You told him I was trying to get revenge for leaving him. You're still trying to manipulate him after 14 months. This isn't about jealousy, this is about how you treat people. That's not fair, you don't understand the full story, I understand enough. Harper, I don't want to fix it, I'm choosing me. I'm choosing not having to manage your crises or cancel plans with friends or deal with being guilt-tripped constantly. I'm done. She switched from crying to anger immediately, like flipping a switch. You know what? Screw you. You're a coward. You always were. Caleb's just as bad. You two deserve each other. Have fun with your little bromance. I'm going to change my locks when I get back. I'll leave your stuff with my building manager. Don't contact me again. I hung up. Caleb was sitting at the other balcony chair. He'd heard the whole thing, didn't say anything, just handed me his coffee and nodded. We flew back to Denver Sunday night. Monday morning, I called a locksmith. Harper had a key to my apartment and I didn't trust her not to show up and cause a scene. By Monday afternoon, new locks installed. Then the real spiral started. She tried calling from different numbers, I'm guessing borrowed phones or maybe she bought a burner. I blocked each one as they came through. She created a new Instagram account, at Harper Needs Closure, I wish I was joking, and sent me a DM. We need to talk face to face. This is immature. I blocked that too. Then she started texting Caleb again. He showed me the messages Tuesday afternoon. She was asking him to talk some sense into me and insisting that he knows what she's really like and this is all a misunderstanding. When he didn't respond, the messages turned accusatory. You're loving this, aren't you? You finally got revenge for me leaving you. You always were petty. Caleb blocked her. She created new numbers. He kept blocking. At one point she sent him a message that just said, I hope you're happy, with no context, like she was in some kind of tragic movie. By Tuesday evening she'd sent me 3 more emails from different addresses, all variations of the same thing. She's sorry, she realizes she messed up. She just needs one conversation to explain herself. I'm being unfair by not giving her closure. One of them had the subject line, please, I'm begging you. I archived them all without reading past the first line. I didn't respond to any of it. Mason called Tuesday night to check in and I told him everything. He said, yeah, you made the right call. That girl's not okay. It's Wednesday now. I haven't heard from her since last night. I'm guessing she's either given up or planning something else, but honestly I don't care anymore. I've got my apartment back, my peace back, and a new friend who actually gets what I just went through. Mason's wedding is in 10 days. Harper probably knows when and where it is. Mason's fiancée posted about it on Instagram a while back, and I'm sure Harper's been stalking all our social media accounts. I've already talked to Mason and his fiancée about potential drama. They've got security hired and a plan to escort her out if she shows up uninvited. I'll update if anything notable happens at the wedding. Otherwise, I think this saga's pretty much over. Edit. For everyone asking, no, I don't feel bad about humiliating her with the Team Caleb shirt. She humiliated herself by threatening to cheat and then being mad that it didn't work as a control tactic. Play stupid games, win stupid prizes. Final update, it's been about 3 months since Miami. Quick final update since a lot of you asked. Mason's wedding was 2 weeks after my last post. Beautiful venue in the mountains outside Denver, about 150 guests. Harper showed up uninvited. Security stopped her at check-in. I was inside with the groomsmen when they radioed to confirm she wasn't my +1. I told them to escort her out. She made a scene. Started crying about wanting to support Mason and talk to Logan, that this was cruel and unnecessary. One of the bridesmaids filmed the whole thing. Harper in a cocktail dress, mascara running, being walked to her car by security while sobbing about everyone ganging up on her. The video made the rounds in our group chat. She'd crashed a wedding, gotten kicked out, and still thought she was the victim. The rest of the wedding was perfect. Caleb came as a regular guest, ended up talking to one of the bridesmaids all night. They dated for a few months after. Since then, I've kept tabs through mutual friends. Harper dated someone for about 6 weeks after me, a guy named Derek. According to people who know him, she pulled the exact same moves on him that she'd used on me and Caleb. The guilt trips, the constant testing, the threatening to contact her ex-me this time if he didn't do what she wanted. Here's the ironic part. Derek reached out to Caleb through LinkedIn, same way I did. They met up, Caleb showed him all the same evidence, told him the same stories. Derek broke up with her after 3 weeks. She tried the whole harassment routine, multiple phone numbers, new social media accounts, showing up at his gym. Derek actually got the restraining order that Caleb couldn't get. It went through last month. So Harper finally got legally ordered to stay away from someone, just like she should have had happened to her a year ago. The system caught up. She's apparently seeing someone new now. I don't know his name and I don't care. Maybe she'll learn, probably not. Either way, not my problem. As for me, got promoted to senior project engineer 2 months ago. Moving into a house next week, small place in Lakewood with a backyard. Caleb and I still grab drinks every couple weeks. Life's quiet and I like it that way. If someone threatens you to control your behavior, walk away immediately. Don't wait, don't negotiate, don't think you can fix them. They'll do the same thing to the next person and the person after that. The only win is choosing yourself and getting out. That's it. I'm done with this chapter. Edit. To everyone asking, yes, Derek knows about the restraining order and has been in contact with Caleb too. The 3 of us actually got dinner last week. Harper created her own support group for her victims. Wild. Story 10. I think my wife is cheating with her boss, and a sprinkler system just confirmed it. I have been married to my wife Tara for 13 years. We have 2 kids, Evan and Lily. I'm a project manager for infrastructure projects here in Austin. She works in hospital administration at St. Elmo Medical Center. Until about 6 months ago, I would have told you we had a solid marriage. Not perfect, but good. We parent well together, communicate, or I thought we did, and generally have our shit figured out. Then things started changing. Small stuff at first. Tara started working late more often, not crazy hours, but consistent. 2, 3 nights a week she'd text saying there was an ICU issue or some accreditation review that needed her attention. She joined a gym, got her hair done more frequently, bought new work clothes. Individually, none of this meant anything. People go through phases. I sure as hell wasn't going to be the insecure husband who freaks out because his wife wants to look nice. But there was this name that kept coming up, Quentin. Quentin this, Quentin that. He's her boss, director of operations, technically her direct supervisor. She'd mention him constantly. Quentin thinks we should restructure the ICU staffing. Quentin and I have to review the accreditation documents. Quentin gets it, you know, he understands the pressure. I met him once at a hospital fundraiser. Mid-40s, confident in that corporate way, talked a lot about his consulting side business. Seemed fine. I didn't think much of it, except there were these little things that didn't add up. I found a receipt in our SUV for an Uber 2 cent. Elmo Townhomes. We live in a South Austin suburb, nowhere near there. When I asked Tara about it, she said she must have given a coworker a ride and they left their receipt. Okay, fine. Then one evening I got in the car and smelled cologne. Not mine. When I mentioned it, she laughed and said Quentin had borrowed the car during lunch because his was in the shop. That seemed weird. Why would your boss borrow your car? But she had an explanation ready, so I let it go. I let a lot of things go, honestly. I'm not the jealous type. I manage construction projects. I deal in facts and timelines and logistics. I don't operate on gut feelings, but Wednesday night something shifted. It was late evening, around 8:45. Tara texted, "ICU is crazy busy, you go to sleep first." Nothing unusual, except I couldn't sleep, so I was scrolling on my phone. We have this telematics app on our SUV. It's connected to the insurance for a discount, tracks mileage and location, all that. We both have access. I wasn't checking up on her. I was just bored and opened the app to see if I'd hit my monthly mileage estimate. The car was parked, had been for over 25 minutes. At St. Elmo Townhomes, I stared at the map pin. My brain went into project management mode, data first, conclusions later. I pulled up Google Maps, dropped the exact coordinates. It pulled up a residential complex, and in the search results I saw QR Operations LLC listed at one of the addresses. I remembered Quentin talking about his consulting business at that fundraiser. He'd mentioned he ran it out of his home office. I took screenshots, timestamps, locations. I didn't text Tara, I just watched the app. About half an hour later, the car started moving. I was thinking about our kids' robotics club. Evan and Quentin's son are in the same group. I still had the parents' contact info in my phone, including Brianna, Quentin's wife. I don't know what possessed me, but I sent her a message. "Hey Brianna, sorry for the weird text, but is Quentin home right now?" 3 dots appeared, then disappeared, then appeared again. Finally, no. Why? I sent her the telematics screenshot. Told her my wife said she was at the hospital, but the car had been at that address for half an hour. Asked if that was their place. She called me immediately. Her voice was shaking. "That's our house. Quentin said he was working late at the hospital tonight." We stayed on the phone. She was looking at her security camera footage. She has one of those doorbell cameras. She pulled up the timeline and found it. Around 8:50 p.m. My wife's car pulling into their driveway. Tara getting out, looking around like she was checking if anyone was watching. Then Brianna did something I wasn't expecting. She turned on their sprinkler system remotely. I could hear it through the phone, the sudden burst of water. Brianna was laughing, but it sounded unhinged. Let's see what she does now. 30 seconds later, my phone buzzed. Tara, got sprinkled, soaked my clothes, so stopping by 24/7 gym to change. I sent Brianna a screenshot of that text. Neither of us said anything for a long moment. Then she said very quietly, "I think we need to figure out what the hell is going on. We've been comparing notes for the past day. I'm not ready to confront anyone yet. I need to know how deep this goes." Brianna has access to their credit card statements. I have the telematics history. We're both trying to stay calm for our kids, but honestly, I feel like I'm watching my marriage dissolve in real time through a freaking car tracking app and a sprinkler system. Am I crazy for not confronting her immediately? Should I get a lawyer first? I don't even know what I'm asking. I just needed to write this down somewhere because I can't talk to anyone I actually know. Edit: a lot of people are asking why I didn't confront her right away. Honestly, because I'm a project manager, I don't walk into a meeting without all the data. And right now, I have a data point and a sprinkler incident. That's not enough to blow up my marriage and scare my kids. Brianna and I are going through everything methodically. If this is what it looks like, I want documentation. Not just for me, for Evan and Lily. Edit 2, for those asking about the hospital, yes, there are policies about relationships between supervisors and direct reports. Tara's mentioned them before in the context of other people. If this is real, it's not just an affair. It's a professional ethics violation. Update 1. First off, thank you for the messages and advice. Some of you told me to confront immediately, others said to lawyer up first. I did neither. What I did was spend the last week going through data with Brianna like we were building a case for court, because that's probably where this is heading. The telematics app became our best friend. I pulled the entire 6-month history. Tara's car had been to St. Elmo Townhomes 11 times, always after 8 p.m. Always on nights she texted me about working late. The longest visit was 2 hours and 40 minutes. The shortest was 38 minutes. Every single time, Quentin had told Brianna he was at the hospital, but the